Take me on home to the asylum. Never alone in the asylum. Anarchy ruled, it was wild, but through it all you never smiled. Joke's on you, I'm in your head, so look who's laughing now. Remember in Arkham City, I killed your girl, so pretty. That was the night you let me die. But when I looked you in the eye, that's when I knew we'd be together. Look who's laughing now. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. Ah, I feel you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you. I am the clown, prince of crime. And we've had a hell of a time. You're part of me, I'm part of you. And now there's nothing left to do. I just can't wait till I'm in control. Who'll be laughing then? I drove you round the bend and I'm laughing. I'm with you till the end and I can't stop laughing. I killed all your friends and I can't stop laughing. Oh yeah, I think I can taste your fear. Now that my time is near, I'm in your blood, I'm so alive. I only wish you'd let me drive. It won't be long till I make you kill. Who'll be laughing then? Barbara's dead and I'm laughing. Ah! Jason Todd's dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm even dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you. I drove you round the bend and I'm laughing. I'm with you till the end and I can't stop laughing. I killed all your friends and I can't stop laughing. I'm cock-a-doodle-doo. All because of you. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. Ah, I fill you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. I filled you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you.
Attend the tale of Maxwell Rothy, sought the footlights like a moth, his sense of timing never off until he opted to collaborate with a hooded reprobate. The blighter and assassin made a deadly double bill. Jokes, 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 make 'em laugh until they choke, fairly slay 'em in the aisles, maidens fair and princes charming. Thrills, 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 dashing feats and bloody spills, and I guarantee you'll never see the ending coming. The curtain rose, the scene was set, they danced a murderous duet, and much deserving blood was let up too. The scene wherein they disagreed on who should live and who should bleed, and Maxwell Rothy then received a very bad review. Jokes, 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 and there's daggers and there's cloaks, but behind the scenes the leading players differ on the plot. Laugh, laugh, laugh at the dandy's new red scarf. Now 8 shows a week to Beelzebub is his eternal lot. Jokes, 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 make 'em laugh until they choke, fairly slay 'em in the aisles, maidens fair and princess charming. Thrills, 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 dashing feats and bloody spills, and I guarantee you'll never see the ending coming.
Did you see it coming? Did you see it? Did you see it coming? Maybe not. Oh, I forgot the big lights are on. I forgot. Yeah, a little more moody. You got to have a little bit of shadow. You know, you got to have a little bit of shadow. Just a little bit of shadow. That's all you need, frankly. That's all you need. Happy Fallout Day, everybody, by the way. Happy Fallout Day. You know, today is an exciting day because for the first time in a long time, there is a new Fallout product available. There is indeed. I can't for the life of me find the link to it. Here it is. Here. The anniversary upgrade is $40. Yeah. It's $40. It's $40 for the anniversary edition. So Fallout 4 is $20. Game of the Year edition is $40. The Fallout 4 anniversary upgrade is $40, which implies that it's $60 as far as I understand it. Is that right? Are they really charging $60 for it? There's no way, right? No, they okay. No, they are. Somebody asked me, why do I have the lighter for dab pens or dab whatever things? I don't know. I don't even know what a dab is, frankly. But moments like this make me wish this weren't just for candles. Tell you what. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. That's the thing, liar. Oh, man. By the way, before I forget, thank you to Hannah, who gave a very generous 10 Australian dollar super chat at the top of the stream before we even started. So that was very generous. Thank you. Appreciate you. Let's see. Mart99, thank you for the sub with Prime, by the way. Thank you. Appreciate you. And also Will, thank you for the 5 that just popped. Bethesda, when Luke's power goes out, we don't plan on doing anything about it. Yeah. You realize people back in the day were bored. They didn't have power to begin with. So they were technically bored all the time. It was part of it. It was part of the experience. So you should just stop complaining. That seems to be their modus operandi. Let's just run through this real quick because it's going to be a segment. I don't know, Jacob, if you want to touch base with Trevor and see if this is more of a Trevor post or a Clips channel post or a live channel post. I'm not sure, but I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. New segment. It just keeps getting sadder. Yokes, can I just send money straight to Todd's bank account and just stop beating around the bush? Yeah, do you think he'll open it up for like a tips link or something where you can just send it straight through PayPal? Maybe he's gonna do that. You can just send all of it. The links just work. I think it's only a matter of time. Ryan, by the way, thank you for the sub with Prime as well. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. Appreciate you. Welcome. Glad to have you. By the way, if you are not already a Twitch sub or YouTube member, or if you're already one of those and you have not gotten access, connect your account to our Discord. Once you're in the Discord, you can ask questions that I typically answer them on stream, but I'm realizing now some of the questions that you might have asked me on here and then I answered on stream, you may not realize that I answered them if you missed that stream. So I might need to start linking the stream that I answer these questions in. We'll do that, but that's a good improvement. We can do that. But either way, you can ask questions that'll get answered or discussed on stream. You can send links and stuff that often get reacted to, like the dispatch video we watched on Friday. That was a recommendation from one of you guys, as are most of these things. So I recommend you get in there. You just connect your Discord to your YouTube or Twitch account, whichever one is a member or sub, and then you get access to the Discord. It's super cool. So do that if you have not already, okay? Okay. This is true, by the way. X was asking, hey Luke, I don't know if this is real, but I found this interesting. It is in fact true that a former writer, script, senior game designer, and lead gameplay designer at Warhorse is moving over to CDPR. We will talk about that because that is true. Found him as Obi-Wan has done here. You can actually see the LinkedIn post, but for some reason regular LinkedIn makes me log in, but Chick doesn't. But as you can see here, he was, or they, I'm not sure who it actually was, Carol Coleman, I think. LinkedIn is so toxic, I don't even want to click on it. But you can see previously writer, game designer, and then senior game designer, lead gameplay designer, and then moved over to senior quest designer at CDPR. That's a good pickup. I'll tell you what, anybody who worked on KCD2 working on another RPG, I'm there for it. I saw some of those like culture warrior types were trying to spin this like, oh, so clearly KCD2 was a flop because it was woke. That's why they're moving jobs. It's like, it's got to be so miserable inside that noggin. Plenty of space, sure, but it's got to be just so sad. It's like you can't leave or pursue a promotion at another company otherwise. It's like clearly whatever you worked on was a disaster. You didn't hear that about like the people who left CDPR or the people that left Larian after Baldur's Gate? No. Of course not. Okay. Bethesda has bug fixes for sale. Okay, let's do this. Let's talk about this. News segment. Guys, I'm just tired at this point. I'm just so tired. Just when I thought, again, perhaps foolishly, that they couldn't disappoint me more, Bethesda manages to just take my breath away. You know, it really is remarkable. Fallout 4 is 10 years old. I think as of today, today is 10 years, okay? It is a decade old. And so you would expect that they would be celebrating it with lots of free content, with some big update to celebrate the fans who are still playing it to this day. You'd expect them to throw a bone or something, but no, this is Bethesda we're talking about. So instead, they came out with a product to sell you, the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition. This includes 150 paid mods, which they say is mods. It's basically just micro DLC or DLC. I mean, it's not much more than that. It's like little cosmetics. It's maybe new weapon skins or even weapon types, things like that. They're including a bunch of those into this Anniversary Edition. You can buy the package of paid mods separately if you want, but there's basically 3 variations of this that you can do. You can either play the base game, Fallout 4, or you can get the Anniversary Edition that you upgrade from the base game with. And that includes a bunch of these updates. It includes the paid mods. It includes a bunch of this stuff. But it's up to you. And that includes like all of the DLC and everything. Again, for this 10-year-old game, it includes Far Harbor, Contraptions, Vault Tech, Wasteland, Automatron, Nuka World as well. And then 150 paid mods, which are cosmetics and things like that. Now, when we talked about this on Friday, I said, there's no way, right, that this is more than like $20. Surely. It's a 10-year-old game. It's a decade old. Bear in mind, it's a decade-old game that has been broken in large part for a year and a half because the last next-gen update that they did in preparation for season 1 of the show broke the game so severely that they have had like VATs completely busted for a year and a half. The most popular mod in the last year and a half has actually been a mod to roll back the game to a previous version because they broke it so bad. Okay, that's what we're talking about. But instead of throwing a bone to fans, instead of doing that, and even instead of just making it cheap or affordable, you know what they've done? I went to the website. Okay, up until today, this tab, the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition has been blacked out, so you can't see the buy now button, but it is now available. Okay, and when you click on it, it takes you can go to Steam or Xbox, but to just show you this, you go to the Steam page for Fallout 4 now. You have the prompt to buy the base game. Okay, this prompt is $20. 10-year-old game, $20, launched at $60. You know what? It goes on sale a lot. That's fine, I think, especially for a really popular game. Goes on sale. You can pick it up for like $5, $10 pretty regularly, so that's not an insane offense. The Game of the Year edition includes all of the DLC. I do like Far Harbor. Nuka World's fine. It's fine, but it's whatever. But that's $40. So $20 for all the DLC. Yeah, that's probably fair. Tacking on top of that. So this includes the base game and that, but okay. But then we get to this. This is the new thing. The Fallout 4 Anniversary Upgrade. This does not include the base game, okay? You have to buy that separately. The Anniversary Edition upgrade is $40. $40 for an upgrade with like paid mods for a $10 or $10-year-old game, which means if you want to buy this Anniversary Edition outright, it's $60, as you can see here on the Xbox store. It is $60. This game is 10 years old. They're tacking in 150 paid mods, but these paid mods are part of a new store page called Creations that they've added into Fallout 4, where they aim to sell you even more. So their goal is to get you a taste of paid mods and get you in here so that you start spending even more and you buy even more, and then it just spins and spins and spins, and you spend and spend and spend. Now, this is my surprised face. At this point, I expect not much more from them. Frankly, it's just how Bethesda operates. But you know what? I figured we could check this out and see what the update is actually like. So I downloaded the update. I have not tried to boot this up, but I do know of several other YouTubers that have tried to boot this up and have had major problems getting it running. But when I go to boot the game, we're going to see if we can actually get this to launch. I'm going to hit play and we're just going to see what happens, okay? Because other people I've heard, they can't get past the initial load in before it crashes. We're going to see if I can get it working. Whatever's happening on the screen now, I don't think that's supposed to happen. The flickering?
May fall to you. That's why we at
that flickering's not supposed to happen.
These educational materials for you to better understand the 7 defining attributes that
Okay, let's just skip, go to the main menu.
make you.
Before anybody says anything, I did uninstall all mods, so I don't have anything installed, okay? The music still hits. Okay. Thank you for buying the Anniversary Edition. Download and activate? I didn't buy any Anniversary Edition. Like, I have not bought anything, so why does it say I have? Okay. Sell our soul to the corporation. Okay. You can see the load animation even glitches out when you render above 60 frames. Classic. Okay. Okay, like this is unironically weird. I did not pay, because God knows I'm not paying $40 or $20 like or whatever it would be, since I have the DLC already. I would not pay for that upgrade. Why does it say I have it? I don't know. I'm confused. Well, it seems to be working very well. Todd's trying to charm me. He's like, guys, if we give Luke the DLC, then he's gonna love it. It's gonna be great. Do you think it's because I have the season pass from back in the day? Is that why? Shouldn't. What is happening? What is happening? Oh, it's a bug that's repeatable. That happened to me too, says Ariel. So other people are having it randomly think they have the anniversary edition even when you don't. Okay. Okay. Become a bounty hunter. It says I have this one apparently for $6. Dude, it's broken. Nothing's loading. Again, surprised face. Can't say I'm shocked. Can't say I'm shocked, man. Okay. Well, let's at least see if they fixed our movement speed bug, okay? Let's load in and see if they fixed that. Let's see. Okay. Okay. How do I turn on FPS overlay? Here we go. Okay. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah?
Yeah. Nope. Still looks stupid. Okay. Show us you're not safe for work mods. Dude, do you remember when we looked at Stellar Blade and we looked up some of those debauched mods? How many of you guys were here for that? Do you remember when we looked up those Stellar Blade mods? The one that was like the most despicable was the one that replaced all characters' hands with feet. Like, bro.
Yeah?
Get some help. Like, go find Jesus. God damn. Like, at what point do you go, do I have a problem? When you're replacing all of the characters' hands in games with feet, I think we've gone too far. So anyway, so that's still bugged. Again, the only way you can fix this is either install a mod that caps your frame rate, go into like, you can go into the NVIDIA control panel and manually limit it to 60 FPS. Or I think there's a way to do it through console command somebody was telling me about. But other than that, you can't play the game at this speed because it kind of breaks stuff when you try to play. The game is just not built for it. But hey, at least now in the pause menu, you can pull up creations. So there's that. I'm gonna quit to the main menu. Let's see if it loads in our paid mods now. Nope. Okay, well, only Bethesda could find a way to create all these. Like, again, look at these. $5, $2. Todd, dude, it's just like, again, I've said this before, I'll say it 1,000 times. We meme on companies like EA, companies like Ubisoft. We meme on these companies. As far as I can think, and correct me in chat if I'm wrong, I can't think of a time where another developer has been so like so in tandem at the same time. They are at the same time completely incompetent and also excessively greedy. Like, they found a way to charge $40 for this upgrade, for this fantastic new addition that just broke. Okay. Now there's just nothing on the screen. Okay. For literally nothing. Okay. They found a way to charge $40 for that. Break the game and not fix the real problems with the game. And still charge you excessively for it. Like, it's incredible. It is incredible. We joke and I make fun of like Ubisoft for like the Iron Man skins within Assassin's Creed because that's stupid. It seriously broke. There's nothing on the screen. I'm clicking. Okay. I'm gonna crash out. I'm warning you. But like, at least those you pay the $50 or whatever for the skin, and the skin is in the game and works. Like, what the hell is even that? Like, they found a way to lower the bar even more somehow. Oh, now it's initializing. There you go. You just have to click on it and wait a minute and a half. Okay. And it still isn't working. Okay. Again, bear in mind, this one, Become a Bounty Hunter, $6. This, it glitched out. This one, $5, $4, $5, $3. Is it gonna... Oh, at least I can buy Vault-Tec snow globes. That's nice. It's an immersion item. That's great. That's great. Jimothy, thank you for 18 months. Can I offer you a sub in these trying times? It does help. It makes me feel better. Thank you. Unoctium, thank you for the 5. I released 2 creations on Bethesda Creation Club today. I made Robin some really good stuff on the store. I would love to check it out. I would love to be able to go to the creation store and look at that mod you posted. But it's not working too good. I'm hoping if I just let it load, it'll eventually work, but it's not. It's just still doing the thing.
Caleb donated $50 through Super
Jesus,
Chat.
Caleb, thank you.
Hey Luke, it's Caleb's mom to let you know after 3 years overseas he's back in the States and won't be able to catch the stream live and putting in an offer on my first house today, so no more stealing Dad's CC. Keep up the amazing work, love.
That's awesome. God bless you too, my friend. 50's very, very generous. Congrats on the first house. We'll offer on the first house. Hopefully it goes in your favorite. That's fantastic. And whenever you get the chance to come by, we'd love to see you, my friend. It's great to have you back, and hopefully you're doing well. And I know what that's like. I'm going through a refinance on this house right now, actually. So I know what it's like to deal with banks and all sorts of stuff. Just had an appraisal on my house. Like, yeah, it was Friday. Thursday? Friday? One of the two. So yeah, I get it. So fun. Anyway, I don't think this is gonna load in. I think it's safe to say it's broken. Is that fair? So let me just recap for everybody who just joined us, okay? Oh! That's my O face. Oh! It happened. Okay. I'm scared to click on anything because I'm worried it's gonna break it. I can get rainbow power armor for $8. Does that not seem like a little low-key, like, kind of weird to like charge a lot for something like that? You know, is that not like a little weird? I thought they would give that away for free, but okay. No, the Pip-Boy is $5. The power armor is $8. So if you want to be an ally, it's going to cost you. Wow, $1 for that. Okay. Eyes to Fall For. This one is $2. I broke it again. Oh no, there it goes. This one's $2. And it gives you some customizable eyes. Okay. This one, what else is there? Tales of the Beast Hunter. So this is an actual BGS one. Okay. This is an actual BGS DLC. It is a lore-friendly quest 7-part holotape adventure where you will uncover the legend of the Beast Hunter. You get a new gun, you get this stuff. Okay. It's a cool tie-in. This one you can just download. They're not charging for that. How generous. Okay. And you see there's more. Ancient Alien Blaster. There you go. That one you can just download. That's nice. That's nice. Okay. So excuse me. Companion Casey, Doctor Follower is $3. Shelter Chic is $5. Miss Weldy, Robot and Con Artist Companion is $5. Become a Bounty Hunter. This is another this is Hobgoblin. This is one of their like partnered modders. This one is $6. Okay. But this is the update. Okay, this is the thing you're paying a premium to get access to. I mean, technically, so to be clear, full recap, because I don't want anybody being like, this isn't clear. Bethesda issues an update November 10th. That's what we technically are seeing here. This update adds in the creations menu on the main loading screen so that you can click on it and get access to the in-game store where you can buy a bunch of little things that are $2, $5, $8, $10, whatever. Micro DLC, microtransactions effectively. Except the quality's all over the place because some of it is community made, some of it is made by Bethesda, and in a classic Bethesda fashion, a lot of the community stuff is of better quality than the official stuff, but whatever. You get access to that, you can download it. It did most likely break the majority of your mods that were downloaded for free, which has been a pattern that every time Bethesda updates the game with their paid mods, it conveniently breaks the way that you run it with free mods, which I don't think is a coincidence personally, but call me a conspiracy theorist. But they still have not fixed some of the major issues. They did fix the VATS thing allegedly. They did fix some of the other problems with like HUD stretching if you're playing on ultra wide. I don't have an ultra wide monitor set up right now as my primary monitor, so I can't test that at the moment, but they claim that they fixed that with this same patch. However, they are charging $40 for the upgrade to the anniversary edition. In that includes 150 pieces of Creation Club content. These are 150 of these little bitty paid mods that they've just bundled in one big package. I broke it again. These though, apparently there is a bug that you guys were saying, Ariel I think was saying that it happened to them too, where the game is falsely thinking that people have the anniversary edition when they don't actually have it, and it's causing problems because it thinks that you have the DLC but you don't actually have the DLC, and so it causes things to crap out, which is what just happened to me, where it thinks I have the anniversary upgrade when God knows that I'm not paying for that. So there you go. And I guess if you sit and you let it load for 10 minutes, it eventually pops in, but whatever. So I can't say I'm shocked at this point. Like, it's Bethesda. They always find a way, again, unironically, all banter and like sassiness aside, they somehow find a way to lower the bar consistently. If this was like a $10 upgrade, I'd be like, hardcore fans, okay. $40 is insane. Like, it just is. It is a 10-year-old game, and they are now selling a new $60 version of it. That does include the DLC, but again, it's 10 years old, and they're charging $60 for it. And the big titular part of it, which is the creations update, is largely broken and isn't working properly. It's fantastic. While they still haven't fixed some of the major problems, like if you run the game over 60 frames, the whole thing breaks. So they found a way to surprise me even still. That being said, I really, I mean, we all know why this is happening. It's for season 2 of the show. Everybody knows that's what it is. They are banking on a lot of people who have not played Fallout 4, who are going to see the show and are going to be like, ooh, I'm going to, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get back into gaming. I'm gonna go try Fallout 4 again, and they're gonna buy it and they're gonna see the $60 version, not really process that it's a decade old, and they're gonna get that cash. There we go. It failed. And it's the same thing that Naughty Dog did with The Last of Us, where they put out 15 versions of The Last of Us. There's a joke about that where it's, can you name the last 5 games that Naughty Dog released? Yes. The Last of Us? Correct. You got it right. And it's the same basic thing that Bethesda's doing right now with Fallout, where they're just trying to find new ways to package it in a fresh package so that they can sell it and capitalize on the influx of new players. And I will say, this does happen. Okay, this does happen. I went to the Fallout Haunted House at Universal Studios Orlando back during Halloween Horror Nights, and they had Fallout Haunted House. There we go. They had a big line, of course, because it's a massive line with a lot of people interested in it. But with the haunted house, when we were in line waiting, I was surrounded by all these people who were excited to get into the haunted house and check it out. And it was genuinely like pretty cool. It was pretty interesting. But when we were in line, what surprised me is that the people around me largely had never played the games, or like they were passively aware of it. They're like, yeah, I saw the show. It was really good. Just found out it's from a video game. Can you believe that? Like a lot of more casual people that didn't realize that this was originally a video game series that was then turned into a TV show. A lot of people thought that it was the opposite, or they didn't know that there were any games. There was one guy, I think he was behind us, and he was saying how he used to play a lot of games, but then life happened. But watching the Fallout show made him want to get back into it. He's like, yeah, I remember Fallout 3 way back in the day, and apparently there's some new ones that we could try. And I think those are the people that this $60 version is targeting. The people who have been largely checked out of Fallout, of the games, and just gaming in general, and are going to be buying consoles for like GTA 6, and are looking to get into the industry for the first time in a while, or after an extended break, and they are less price sensitive than those of us who have been in the trenches for a while. And I get it. I understand why they're doing it, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. Okay. I can still point out that it's insane that this game is 10 years old and you just found a new way to package it with a $60 version. Like, that's ridiculous. While it's still broken in multiple different ways. It's just ridiculous. And even the version that you have upgraded and given to us, it's still like busted. The in-game store doesn't even work.
Still, Danny donated $10 through Super Chat. If you look at the Steam reviews, people are saying, if we bought all these Creation Club mods, it would cost $120, but they're giving it away for only $20. Not realizing these mods should be free.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of cope, but then it's also like what I've said a bunch and many other people have pointed out. The reason why they keep doing this is because people buy it. The reason that they keep selling paid mods for $5, $10, $8 here and there is because people buy it. A lot of people. There are whales that are probably spending $120. There's probably people out there who are looking at the anniversary edition being like, I was gonna get it, but I already own all those mods. Because they just are checking the boxes and are downloading all of them, and it's just little piecemeal, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy. And that's what Bethesda's strategy has been, is to try and appeal to more of the live service player than the single player. Because here's just, the reality and fact of the matter. I think it no joke, just crashed my computer. It's just a black screen. Yep. Okay. Well, oh man, I can't write these videos even like this, dude. Even if I wanted to script something, I couldn't do this good of a job. Thank you, Todd. That's great. That's great. Fantastic. Love that. I think I'm gonna have to manually like brute force power down my PC. That's fantastic. Okay, well, anyway, the fact of the matter is that single player players are not that lucrative. Like, they'll buy your game for $40, $50, $60, but then they're pretty much done. They might buy a DLC if it's really good, but once they buy it, they're good. And on the flip side, if you can get a live service player who's conditioned to spend money regularly for small, tiny updates and upgrades, you can put out one game every 10 years and make twice as much money as if you were just doing single player games. And so to a large extent, it's greed, it's business savvy. And, you know, I understand it. Doesn't mean I have to like it, you know?
Kyle Parkhurst donated $10 through Super Chat. I do like Juicehead, but it irks me when he defends BGS charging for mods. It's so strange. The modders get maybe 20 to 30 cents on the dollar, and we all know it. They've broken the game twice now for creations.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what Juicehead has said in quote-unquote defense of paid mods, so I won't speak specifically to any of that. Yeah, it just force rebooted my computer. That's hilarious. It literally crashed the PC. It just rebooted by itself. Thanks, Todd. So I don't know exactly what Juicehead has said about paid mods or defending or not defending them, but for me, I think you can very clearly connect the moment that BGS is significantly dropped in quality was when they started chasing paid mods. It was right around that 2017-18 period. It was right around the time where it was right around the time where they started shopping for a new or a buyer. And so they started pursuing pretty much any path to increased revenue that they could. And once they started pursuing that, what we saw was the in-game stores getting built out. And this was always the vision, was basically to have a way where you can put out a game that has problems, just like they always have had with their games, but you can sell the solution back to the players. They will pay to fix it. So you don't have to do particularly amazing work, and you can still reap the benefits of it. And that's what they've managed to do. It was always the plan. But the moment that they started pursuing paid mods and Creation Club, as it was originally called, and remember, it was originally pitched as mods on console. That was the original thing. We're going to get this platform put in the game so even console players can enjoy mods like PC players. And that sounds really good, right? But then later, what did they do? They introduced the idea of paid content. But they said, oh, well, it's modders that are going to get paid for making that high quality content. So really, we're helping out the little guy, because it's little individual modders or partnered modders who are going to get rewarded monetarily for the great work they would previously be doing for free. So you can't be upset with us because it's the little guy who's benefiting. They're using them literally like a human shield, you know? And then after that kind of blows over, then they start raising the prices. Then it becomes more normalized. The goal was always for console mods to turn into the creations system, where you can have paid mods, which is just micro DLC that they can sell to you to create these games that are basically live service in the wrapper of a single player game. It's the exact same thing that Ubisoft has done with Assassin's Creed, where Assassin's Creed is a single player game, but at least most of them are. But they have in-game stores that have all sorts of added content. The difference is, at least for Ubisoft, that it doesn't crash your PC when you open the in-game store. So 1-0 Ubisoft on that one, I guess. You know, but like, that's how ridiculous this has gotten, is that literally, like, for Bethesda to release an update that doesn't cause my PC to crash. My PC, mind you, that is like $5,000. And this thing is struggling to run their update on this 10-year-old game. That's ridiculous. That's insane. But this is Bethesda in 2025. But as you mentioned, still Danny. There's people on the Steam reviews saying if we bought all these Creation Club mods, it would cost $120, but they're giving it away for only 20. There's still going to be sycophants. There's still going to be fans who justify it and make excuses for it. And that's ultimately why they do it. It's because people still buy them and they know that they'll get away with it because people will still put up with it, and it's whatever. It's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. I don't like it when Ubisoft does it. I don't like it when Capcom, for example, has done it in their games where they have DLC for like unlocking crafting materials and stuff. I don't like it when those companies or publishers do it, and I don't like it when Bethesda does it either. But what makes Bethesda's implementation of that so particularly offensive and egregious is that they can't even get it running. They can't even update it in this 10-year-old game, fixing the problems that make the game basically unplayable for somebody like me, and they can't even get it running without crashing the entire PC. It really is at this point pathetic. I mean, I don't really know what else to use it. Like it is disgraceful. And when we say like, you know, it's dramatic and everything, but like when somebody says you should be ashamed of yourself, it's often very, very dramatic. But that is kind of what we've gotten to that point. They're charging money for this. And when you try to go open the store, it doesn't load for 10 minutes. And if it does load, it crashes your PC. Like, what else do you call than like, yeah, you should be ashamed. You're charging for this. This is pathetic. But they're going to get away with it because a lot of new players will come in. They'll buy it for $40 or $60, and that's just what it's going to be. You know? That's just what it's going to be. Arguably the most incompetent AAA studio. I frankly don't know. And please, in chat, everybody in chat, if there is some other studio that is anywhere near this level, please let me know. But I can't think of anybody. Like, what other studio will update their game, break it completely for a year and a half, sort of fix it later while charging you for something else that breaks it again? People say Ubi, but like the most recognizable and like, I think, famous bug in recent memory for Assassin's Creed was the Ivor drunk glitch, which, if you don't remember, AC Valhalla had a bug where Ivor, when you'd load in, would be plastered, like you did the drinking mini game, and it would take like a few minutes to wear off in game, and then you could play like normal. But every time you'd load in, he'd be plastered, or she'd be plastered, right? It was a funny bug, not that severe, but when you load in, they are smashed, okay? And they took, I think it was like 5 weeks or 6 weeks to fix that because it happened in the last patch right before the holidays. Everybody left the studio, went home on vacation for the new year and for Christmas. And when they came back after that break, they updated it in the next big patch and fixed it. But that was like a 5-week-ish thing, if I recall correctly. It might have been even faster. But then they fixed it and the game worked just fine after that. Bethesda straight up, like, VATS has been broken in Fallout 4 for 19 months. Today, they finally issued an update to fix it. VATS. Like, that's like, oh, driving in GTA 5 isn't working right now. We'll get to it a year and a half from now. Like, what? What? It's like a core gameplay mechanic within the world of Fallout is VATS. And they broke it and don't know what to do. Like, it's insane. It's insane. In this regard, I'm not saying, you know, in every regard, but in this regard, Bethesda is significantly worse than Ubisoft. Like, they just are. They just are. They break their crap, don't touch it for years, and even then, they still haven't fixed a lot of it. Even then, we can make fun of Ubisoft, but they've also, like, they've had pretty solid performance. AC Shadows does look graphically really impressive, and it ran really well. Steam Deck verified. Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition crashed my entire $5,000 PC. 10 years after launch, like, with their big new update. Okay, like, what are we doing? And you have to pay $60. Yeah, like, we meme on Ubisoft. In this regard, Bethesda is quantifiably worse. Okay, like, They just are, okay? Like, I don't know what to tell you. They just are. It's insane. It's ridiculous. So what I thought was going to be just like a quick 2-minute segment of describing how insane this is has turned into 40 minutes of rambling, but this is what Bethesda has become, and this is why I have little confidence in Elder Scrolls 6, which we also do have news about. We actually do have news about Mr. Maddie. I'm tired. I'm tired, boss. It's just so insane, dude. It's so insane. It's absolutely ridiculous. Golly. But we do have an update on Elder Scrolls 6. I could probably do that as a separate standalone segment. But I'll mention it here just at the end of this Fallout segment so you guys know. We made that segment on Friday where I talked about why I think it's insane to think Elder Scrolls 6 would come out in 2026. And I just think it's pure cope if you think it's coming out next year. And then what happened? Well, just today, an update comes out where Todd Howard did an interview with GQ, Gentleman's Quarterly, where he described Elder Scrolls 6 as, quote, still a long way off, adding, quote, I'm preaching patience. I don't want fans to feel anxious. I like to just announce stuff and release it. My perfect version, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, is that it's going to be a while and then one day the game will just appear. When asked if Bethesda wanted to shadow drop Elder Scrolls 6 like it did with Oblivion Remastered, he replied, you might say that was a test run. It worked out well. But he's describing it as still a long way off. He says they have hundreds of people on Fallout right now. You can't tell. I'll tell you what, you can't tell. And with Fallout 76 and other things we're doing, one of the other things that Todd's referring to, VGC Understands, is a remaster of Fallout 3, similar to this here's Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. And then they just released this update. Okay. So it's not coming anytime soon. It's just, man, it's just insane. Like, at least with some studios, they fall off and then you see them desperately try to climb back up. CDPR, catastrophic collapse with Cyberpunk 2077. And then they said, this is not going to define us. We're going to overcome this. And they worked their asses off. They patched the crap out of the game. Runs amazing, looks amazing, tons of new content added for free. And they put out Phantom Liberty, which is such a good expansion. It could really be its own standalone game, and it would be like a 9 to 10 out of 10 game, you know? That's what I've been hoping will happen with BGS. That's what I've been hoping would happen with all this stuff. But instead, it's just like, nope, we got new ways to charge you money. Bear in mind, it's $60, and yeah, you're welcome. Money, please. Money, please. It really is sad and pathetic. And it makes you wonder, was Bethesda always like this? They did introduce horse armor. I think to a certain extent they were always like this, but they found the secret sauce that was paid mods, and it's been all downhill since then.
Rodriguez donated $10 through Super Chat. Why doesn't BGS port Morrowind, Fallout 3, and New Vegas to PS5 for $10 minus 15 each? It's minimal effort, easy profits. Hype the Fallout show, and win back fans
frustrated with newer releases and mods. I think the plan is to port Fallout 3 with the remaster, so that is in the works. Morrowind, I think, is a much bigger lift than Oblivion was. They might have greenlit that already for all we know, but I after the success of Oblivion, but we know Fallout 3 is happening. New Vegas, there's rumors about it happening and rumors about a remake, remaster. Who knows if any of that is true, but I think pretty clearly that would make money. But what I think is pretty clear is that they would never charge $10 to $15 for it. They would find ways to charge more. And I think that that's the goal, is that Todd's like, we could just do a port and charge $10 for it, or we could do like a sort of remaster, add like some new filtering options, texture filtering options, add in a photo mode, and then we call it an anniversary edition, and we can charge $50 for it. And I think that's what they're doing. I think that just makes more sense for them in terms of business, and they can make a lot more cash that way, you know, a lot more cash. But anyway, sorry to start the stream off with a bit of a bummer, a bit of a bummer story, but hey, you know, it's a good day when the stream is only like, we're only in the stream about an hour so far, and we've already had a PC crash because we dared to run a Bethesda game. So there you go. There you go. Oh, end of segment. Alex, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, how crowded or less crowded do you think next November will be with GTA 6 coming out? I know fall season is the busiest. I think probably October is going to be a madhouse. I think October will have a ton. Like, I think you see Assassin's Creed in October. You might even see Call of Duty move up to October. I think you'll see
Walter
pretty much everything
WT
land there.
donated 10 euros through
Wolverine,
Super Chat.
all of that.
Imagine if Bethesda made Cyberpunk, how more broken it would been in the launch be, how long we would wait until it's fixed.
I don't think it ever would be fixed. That's the thing. Somebody actually sort of did that. Cyberpunk 2077 if Bethesda made it.
SuperDonut_1988 donated $10 through Super Chat. Since Witcher 4 will be out before Elder Scrolls 6, has BGS cooked? Also, what if ES6 and new Larian game drop in the same year?
Yeah, well, Larian and Elder Scrolls, it times out pretty close to each other, so that's very likely. I do think what I've suggested for a few years now is that I thought the odds were sorry, it just keeps happening. I thought the odds are pretty high that The Witcher 4 will launch like roughly 6 months before Elder Scrolls 6. Like The Witcher 4 comes out in, say, February, but then Elder Scrolls 6 launches in November. And what happened last time with Fallout 4 and The Witcher 3 is that The Witcher 3 launched in May, Fallout 4 launched in November, and it was specifically Fallout 4's massive disappointment that led a lot of RPG fans, because it just wasn't a very good RPG. It led a lot of those RPG fans to go back and try The Witcher 3, which at that point had seen a lot of updates and was running a lot better than it was before. And that made them appreciate The Witcher 3 all the more. It blew up, won Game of the Year, did fantastically well. And I think something very, very similar could happen this time around, where we will see like The Witcher 4, Elder Scrolls 6 head to head. But I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty clear blowout, at least in multiple categories. It's Elder Scrolls, you know, I'm sure we'll have things like you can collect cheese rolls and pile them in your house. So you'll be able to do that, which I don't think you'll be able to do in The Witcher 4. There's probably going to be like a build your own castle mini mode, kind of like the settlement system in Fallout 4, probably something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that there's going to be a head-to-head, and I think we all know how that's going to go. As for Larian, I don't know if Larian's next thing is going to be fantasy. I would not bet a lot of money on the next thing being fantasy from them. I have a sneaking suspicion it's
donated
something
£10
else.
through Super Chat. Would love for you to try some of the Fallout 4 creations when the servers ease off. I really enjoyed your review of Robin, and I love how you take a deeper look into these things than other channels.
Appreciate you. When review of Robin, what do you mean review of Robin? Do you mean the companion DLC thing? And yeah, I mean, I'm interested in checking this stuff out. I'm just frustrated that like I don't like the paid mods to begin with, and then you also slap on the fact that it just doesn't work like 80% of the time. It gets really frustrating. Like it's just really frustrating. I think that's the one emotion that really defines all of my feelings towards BGS is just frustration. You know, is just frustrating, dude. As far as I know, Larian is working on 2 projects. I would expect one of them is a new Divinity game. I do think that they could do a new Divinity. But one thing I've heard from people at Larian, and I've heard from people at Warhorse, is that they want to avoid what was the specific word they used? It wasn't like stagnation. Oh, fatigue. They wanted to avoid fatigue because their fear was that if they do too much of the same thing, the team gets fatigued doing that. And you got to have something different. You got to have something fresh, something exciting that's just weird. It's why CDPR wanted to do Cyberpunk after doing The Witcher, doing 3 Witcher games. You know, they want to try something fresh and different. It's very difficult to do, but that's why. And I think that we could see Warhorse doing a different type of RPG, Larian doing a different type of RPG. They might have 2 teams, might have different things going on, certainly, but yeah, I think I've heard from multiple people within those companies that have said we want to avoid fatigue, which to me suggests that they're going to do something different, something quantifiably different from like a fantasy RPG in the case of Larian, or like a more grounded medieval RPG for Warhorse. I think Warhorse, this is Cope, okay? I don't have any secret info. I don't have anything that like you don't know about, but I have a hope and a prayer. I'm hoping that Warhorse uses all of the tools, systems, combat system, all of that stuff that they built for KCD2. I hope they apply that and use it for a pirate RPG. I think it would print money. I think it could ignite a new wave of pirate games. I think people love the idea of adventure and exploration. And I think pirates are a great way to do that. I think the combat system they developed for KCD2 could very easily be tweaked to work in a pirate game. I think it'd be fantastic. All of the dynamic simulation stuff that they have with NPCs, AI, with the economies, all of that works great with different little satellite islands and stuff. I think it'd be great. Please. You call it, yeah, Kingdom Come Parlay. Boom. Boom. So that's what I'm hoping for. As for Larian, I honestly don't know, dude. We could see sci-fi. We could see them go back to Divinity. I'd like something just wacky, you know, even if like the world of The Order 1886, but as a massive open world RPG in the style of Larian. Give me Victorian England with like some steampunk vibes, maybe a little bit of vampires or a little bit of werewolves sprinkled on top, political intrigue and all that, and I'm happy. Try that. Let's do that, you know? Now I'm hyped for something that doesn't exist. Yeah, as far as I know, it doesn't exist. No reason to think it exists. It's just pure cope and hopium. I have no information. I have nothing to suggest that any of this is real. It's just me hoping. But we'll see. We'll see. Oh, man. Oh, man. Please. Just gonna text Sir Toby, be like, come on.
Mr. Beard donated 36 Qatari Riyals and 99 dirhams through Super Chat.
Thank you.
Do you think Activision will try to go head-to-head against GTA 6? I don't think so. I mean, Battlefield 6 scared them a lot, so I don't even want to think about what GTA 6 will...
I don't want to even think about what GTA 6 will do to them. I guess, honestly, that's a good question. Okay, in chat, you're going to put one of 2 words, okay? Stay or move. Put stay if you think Call of Duty stays in November and goes head-to-head with GTA 6. put move if you think Activision gets scared and moves it. What do you think? What do you think? Because I honestly, I'm not sure. Like, I think that it would be a real moment of like humility for them if they moved Call of Duty. You know, they would reframe it as like, we made so much progress. We decided to shift it and move it up to give our players a chance to experience it even sooner. But it would be because of GTA 6. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. So I would love to see it. I would love to see it, but like, they would twist it one way or another. I see a lot of moves. Take a year off. I don't think they do that. I mean, I think that they should, frankly, if they want to, you know, shake it up. Let's see. Yeah, I think that would be probably a good move, but yeah, I don't know, man. I think that they should probably take a year off. I don't think they will, but if they are launching next year, I think that they should probably move it up to October and announce that relatively early on, because I think what you're going to see is October is going to just be flooded with games. They might try to push and get like AC Hexe out in like early October to September, but there's even speculation that they might have to delay Hexe into early next year or early 2027, which would be surprising. It just matters on how much progress they've made polishing and stuff, but we'll see. Dempsey, do you think Where Winds Meet will be big? Where Winds Meet. Oh, what a game. Real quick, I'm going to publish and then we'll talk about this. Okay. I just have to publish this video and then we should be good. And I'll talk about what I had the chance to try early. Okay. Because some of you might not know what Where Winds Meet even is, I realize, which is wild because I think it will actually be quite big. But let me show you this real quick before we move on. On the main channel, I just published a video on Rue Valley. It is published by Owlcat Games, the guys behind like Rogue Trader. They, I think, are going to be like the next big RPG developer up there with like Larian and stuff. They're very, very good. And they're publishing this game from Emotion Spark Studio. This is like inspired by Disco Elysium. It's a game set in a time loop. It's a pretty solid CRPG. And it's really clever. The writing is really good. The art direction is phenomenal. And it is, I mean, I can't stop playing it, frankly. I'm a little bit addicted and I'm trying all sorts of different like, different dialogue options and stuff. It's just really well done. It's really, really good. Can I unmute it?
Still with me, Mr. Harrow?
Can I help you?
Oh, it's good. It's very good. So if you want to see me kind of go into how the game works, check it out over on the main channel. Just did a video on it. I recommend you check it out because the game is legitimately like very good. And it launches tomorrow. So check it out. Yeah, works on Steam Deck, works on ROG Ally, worked on my gaming laptop. I tried it all and it all worked very, very well. And there's honestly a number of very clever things they do in here for like managing objectives and stuff. They have a whole intentions system tied with willpower, which is like points that you earn by completing certain segments and certain objectives that you have. It's really, really clever. Like the whole game is just really, really well executed and clever. So I recommend you check that out. That being said, let's see. Let me go here. Where Winds Meet. Where Winds Meet. Okay. So if you're not aware, Where Winds Meet is an upcoming game, and it's very different from probably pretty much anything that you're aware of. There's not really anything like it, okay? I did a video trying it early, like maybe a month or two ago. But basically, the easiest way to describe it is that it's like a massive open world adventure game with pretty solid combat too. And it takes inspiration from big open world adventure games like Ghost of Tsushima, like Elden Ring, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, games like that. But then they put it in a package that we've really not seen. This is like a free to play single player game, monetized exclusively with cosmetics, so you can play it for free. It has co-op support for boss fights, if you are so inspired. And it has roughly 150 hours of content is roughly what they expect you to be able to get out of it, which after I tried it, I believe that there's probably about that much. Like, it's insane. Gotcha game? No, it's monetized through cosmetics. Like, if you want to buy a new skin, I think it's like $20 or something for like the cosmetics. There's stuff in game that's earnable too. But like, if you want to buy a different mount than your horse, and you want to ride around standing on a goose that sprints across the environment, you can do that. And that's how they fund the entire game. It also is built for PC and I believe console as well, and mobile. Like, they even got this scalable so well that you can even play it on like an iPad, which is insane. And it like actually does. Like, this is what the game looks like. And it's even so scalable. They built it out so well that it can scale all the way down to a mobile device. Like, it's ridiculous. It's as close to magic as anything I've seen, like, technically speaking. It's ridiculous. Some really clever boss designs too. It's just really well executed, really good. And if I hadn't tried it, I'd still be like very, I don't know, but I've played it. I've actually put a concerning number of hours into it because it's very, like, honestly very good. And it's just crazy. Like, it's just crazy. Yeah, here you got to look at some of the combat that they have. Again, it's got a lot of systems going on here, depending on the gear you have, the skills you have, all of that stuff, what items you want to use. It's just crazy. Like, it's just crazy. And what I realized just earlier before stream was that they have hit, and I'm not joking, 10 million pre-registrations. 10 million. And bear in mind, this game is free, okay? It's called Where Winds Meet. It's free because, again, it's monetized just with cosmetics, and they have 10 million pre-registrations. That's insane. So will it be successful? The super chat right before this was asking, Dempsey sent $2 and asked, do you think Where Winds Meet will be big? The answer is an unequivocal yes. It will be big. Will it be big in the States? That I don't know. I know me and my buddy Corey's been really interested in it, wants to check it out. He didn't get to try it early during the play tests, but he's been interested in it because it's kind of a melding of single player open world action adventure games and like big online MMOs. It kind of melds the two formulas together in a very, again, a way, at least as far as I'm aware, that hasn't been done before. It's crazy. Is it sponsored? No, this is not sponsored. This is me just talking about the game. It's ridiculous. Okay. I've previously done work with them. Right now I can say whatever the hell I want to say. And I'm telling you, this game is like actually ridiculous. Okay. If I thought it was garbage, if I thought it was poop, I would tell you, I could, like, there's no limitations. I can tell you that even when we do sponsored stuff, because it's actually cost me this year over 6 figures turning deals down because they wouldn't let me say whatever I want to say. Whenever we do a sponsored video on the main channel, I specifically, like, me and my agent go and we say, I have to be allowed to say whatever I want to say, positive or negative about the game if I'm trying it. And if they don't agree, we don't do the deal. And I've like literally turned down over 6 figures this year alone because there were publishers or games that didn't want to allow me to say whatever I wanted to say. They agreed to that because they were that confident in what they had, and I see why. It's very good. But even now, there's no deal, there's no contract, there's no video coming as of right now on the game. Maybe if they want me to cover the game again, I'd happily do that. But it just is that crazy. And again, it's a free game with 10 million pre-registrations. That's insane. That's ridiculous because most of those people probably convert. If it was like $60, a lot of those 10 million probably wouldn't actually end up playing the game. But because it's free to play, probably all of those people will end up going and downloading the game and playing it. So they probably will have 10 million. Like, it's crazy. Did I sign an NDA for the game? When we did the video, I think, so there was an NDA until I published the video, but once that video goes up or that embargo hits, I can say whatever. So I've not seen anything I don't have any info I can't talk about with the game right now, if that's what you're asking. I have no like active NDA where I'm like, oh, I can't talk about this. No, I don't have anything like that. Before we did the video, there was an embargo before I could talk about playing the game, but after the embargo lifts, we can say and describe everything. So yeah, I do think that this one is going to be, it's going to be big. It's very different. I'm honestly very curious how the business model will work for them, because if a Chinese developer, and this is going to happen with a lot of Eastern developers just in general, but if these like Eastern devs can start to find ways to make massive single player games that are free, which is a business model that's very popular in China, but monetized through cosmetics, that's going to be, I think, the next big thing. Like, it's crazy. I just don't understand how this isn't pay to win. It just isn't. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It just isn't. Maybe they've added something or changed something in the last month or so and changed it so it is like you can buy a crazy powerful weapon or something. But as of right now, or at least as far as I'm aware, no, it's just paid and monetized through cosmetics with like mounts, costumes, different hats, stuff like that. So yeah, if you count being dressed really cool as like pay to win, sure. But other than that, like gameplay wise, no. So to answer your question, do I think Where Winds Meet will be big? Yes. And I'm very interested to see how it plays out, because it hasn't really pierced the veil of the Western audience as much, but in Eastern markets, like I said, 10 million pre-registrations. That's insane. So we'll see.
Sarat_Kodov donated $50 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
What are thoughts on how Marathon
Golly.
will do now that Arc Raiders has gone to reach some massive success?
That's a good question, because I wanted to talk about the Shroud stuff too. Arc Raiders. Okay. Let's talk. Let's talk about that. Let's talk. Have a little chat. News segment. I left it on. Oops. Let's see. Okay. Saura with a $50 super chat, incredibly generous. What are your thoughts on how Marathon will do now that Arc Raiders has gone to reach some massive success? I want to talk about this. So I'll play a little footage from Jack Frags playing some Arc Raiders in the background while we discuss it. Jack, the OG. Arc Raiders being successful. For a while, I think the narrative was, and the expectation was that if Arc Raiders is successful, it takes away from Marathon, which I think at a certain point was definitely true. Because at a certain point, Arc Raiders, we didn't know when it was launching, except that it was later in 2025. And it was announced that Marathon was releasing in September. So at this point, like originally, Marathon would have been out for a couple of months already. And I think if Marathon had launched with like lacking content in September, and then this happened, this game comes out in November, I think absolutely it would have put Marathon underground instantly. Like game over, Red Rover. But what I think could happen now with Marathon is that Arc Raiders has introduced a lot of people to extraction shooters who haven't played a lot of them before. Even my wife, who is not super into extraction shooters or shooters just in general, she's been asking me, hey, do you want to play some Arc Raiders? Do you want to boot that up and try it? I'm like, what? But sure, but what? And so it's I think very approachable for a lot of people, which is good for the genre of extraction shooters. Some of that I think does translate to new players for Marathon. Do I think Marathon though, and this is the important bit, do I think Marathon can get the number of players that they need to like keep Bungie in its current form afloat? I personally don't think so. I don't see, for example, Marathon magically outperforming what Arc Raiders is doing. Arc Raiders, like multiple days or even a week after launch, is hitting new player peaks of like 450,000 players concurrent on Steam alone. Like that's crazy. That's ridiculous. And I personally don't see Marathon reaching that level of success. But to be fair, I didn't think that Arc Raiders would hit like 450,000 concurrent. That's crazy. That's insane. Okay. But without a doubt, Marathon is fighting a massive uphill battle. I think Arc Raiders' current success, considering Marathon will come out probably 4 or 5 months after Arc Raiders has launched, I think that it probably means that I think it's probably good for Marathon more than it's bad for Marathon, because there will be some people who are like, I finished all the content in Arc Raiders that I have for this season, so I'm just gonna, you know what, I'm gonna call it good. I'm gonna go try Marathon, see what that's like, and I'm gonna compare the two. So I think they will get a lot of people dipping their toes in. Whether they can actually like convert those players into long-term players who move from Arc Raiders over to Marathon, that remains to be seen, because we just don't know what they've added. We don't know what new stuff there is. And from what I saw back in April or May or whatever that was, it needed a lot more content to be anywhere close to what Arc Raiders has at launch. Maybe they will have built that out over the last year, but time will tell. Time will tell. So do I think that your question, how Marathon will do? I think it will actually probably do better than it would have in September. And I think its launch has built out sort of a new audience that's very interested in extraction shooters who previously wouldn't have, because Arc Raiders is a very approachable extraction shooter. But is that enough for Marathon to like magically find profitability and save Bungie from years of mismanagement? I personally don't think so, because they are so underwater right now, and Destiny 2 is collapsing. And I just would be shocked to see. I'd be shocked to see if that game pop off. But we'll see. It's just a matter of time. But I think that the success of Arc Raiders is good for the genre. That will indirectly help Marathon, because there will be people who try it. But unless Marathon, like the only way this works out for Marathon is if Marathon is significantly better than what Arc Raiders currently is, which is going to be very freaking difficult, because Arc Raiders is really well done and there's a lot of content. So it's all about execution at this point. It's just all about the execution. To Marathon's credit, they do have great name recognition. Everybody's heard of Marathon, probably not for good reasons, but at least they know about it. They've heard of it. But we'll see. If I had to put like odds of success, and by success I mean like, do I think Marathon, say a month after launch, is above 10,000 players concurrent? I'd say the odds of it being above 10,000 players a month after launch is like 5%. Like I really don't think the odds are that high that they're successful. But it technically is possible. I think if they had launched in September, the odds are like 0.00001 that the game finds any level of success. But now that they've delayed, Arc Raiders has introduced a lot of people to extraction shooters. I think that makes it a little bit more likely, but still not by a ton. If it's 60 to 70 bucks, it's DOA. That would be a big mistake, I think. But they've announced that it's a premium product. Probably it's going to be like 40 bucks would be my guess. So we'll see. I can see 10K if it's free to play, maybe. Well, the big thing is I think that they'll break like maybe 30,000 at launch people trying it. But the key is like how many people will stay playing it after the 2-hour mark when they can't refund it, and how many people will be staying a month after launch when they're in the end game. That I don't think there's many personally, but we'll see. What makes a game premium? How much money they charge for it. It really has nothing to do with the quality. It really, at the end of the day, is just a matter of how much they want from you. That's just how it works, baby. That's how it works. Oh, will I be doing a video on the KCD 3 or KCD 2 DLC number 3? Yes. Patience. It is coming. It's sad to say goodbye to KCD 2, but that's what we have to do. Any predictions for State of Play Japan/Asia? Not really. I think it's going to be stuff that I've probably never heard of, frankly. Yeah. Yeah, Arc Raiders has 340,000 and counting on a Monday. Insane. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, I thought Arc Raiders was going to do well. I did not think it was going to do like 350 on a Monday. I didn't think it was going to do that well. It's very good. And again, it couldn't have happened to a better team. Embark has worked their butts off for so long on like on the finals. And so it's so good to see them just get a slam dunk. It's so good to see. They deserve it. They deserve it. Have you heard anything about the Cube? Nothing that I can share. But hopefully soon we can talk about it. Hopefully. But yeah, the Cube looks very
Vessel
interesting.
donated try 550 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, what are your thoughts on Remedy's current situation? Strong critical reception but poor sales at almost all previous games. A seemingly forced shared universe. The Firebreak disaster. And still
moving forward with Control 2. Why? I think Remedy is very interesting because they make games that everybody kind of agrees are really good, but they're just not. They're not the games with like mass market appeal in the traditional sense. Like, I was trying to explain to a friend why, this is like whatever, 2 years ago, whenever it came out. I was trying to explain to a friend why Alan Wake 2 was really good. And like, we're looking at gameplay footage on like my phone. I'm trying to show it and explain it. And he's like, I don't know. It just looks just kind of like a standard kind of horror game. I don't see it. I was like, okay, I guess there's not a whole lot that I can can do. Like it just doesn't have, a lot of their games don't have that hook. You know, Control I think was very graphically stunning, and especially for the time, and that helped it have a hook. But they're just hard games to pitch. Like, what's the elevator pitch for it? It's just really hard to describe. Nowadays, I feel like the elevator pitch matters less than like the TikTok that goes viral. You know, I've seen some crazy TikToks popping off about like Arc Raiders, where it's just, we've all seen the clips where it's like, oh, what's that robot thing over there? They shoot it once with a sniper rifle, and then it jumps through the air and lands next to them, and it's just like insane. Like, oh my god. In that moment, you immediately understand why you should get that game. You know, it gets you really excited. You get it. What is that clip for Alan Wake 2 or for Control or for FBC Firebreak? Like, I don't know. You know, I've shown people the hold on. I've shown people this, and for some people, but like this to a certain extent, I think is even more confusing. You show somebody like this, if you've played the game, you know why this is awesome. But if you've not played the game and you're like, wait, this is from a horror game? You know, it's hard to explain. And maybe that's the problem, is that their games are just hard to explain to people. Once you play it, you get it. And it makes sense. And you're like, I see, this is awesome. But it's hard to explain to people. You know, it just is. And I think maybe that's the problem. It's like Kojima's games are hard to describe to people in a flattering way. But he has 20, 30 years of reputation and name recognition to help carry, you know, the load there. And he's had some games, like I think PT being a playable teaser that you could just download for free and it didn't have his name attached to it. That showed that he is capable of putting out a game that people just, it can go viral, it can click. Was that luck? Was that skill? Probably a mix of the two, but like it pretty clearly worked very, very well. But in the case of Remedy, I think a lot of their games suffer from, I don't know what you would even call it, but you know, what is that old saying? It's like, if you can't dazzle them with your brilliance, baffle them with your bullshit. And I think in some cases, the writing in games like Remedy's games, it's like, is this really profound with like the light switch and everything? Or is it just kind of silly and stupid? I'm not sure, but it's like very vague and hard to understand and confusing, but maybe that's part of it. And you know, it's both. Yeah, I think if I had to boil all of this down, I think it really just comes down to Remedy games are just hard to pitch to people. And in a hyper competitive environment with so many games competing for your dollar and your time, it's hard to understand why, if you've never played Alan Wake before, if you've never touched a Remedy game before, it's hard to understand why you should spend 60, 70 bucks on this when you could spend that money on like Monster Hunter or Rue Valley, K-City 2. You know, it's hard to understand that pitch because this is confusing. It's just weird. It's weird. It's unapologetically weird. It's fun weird, but it's still weird. You know? Still recommend it. Fallout Anniversary Edition. How dare you? Great use of 60 bucks. Oh God. It's just so sad. What happened? What happened, Todd? Why? We need more games like Alan Wake though. It's fun. I agree they're fun. I like Alan Wake too. But the problem is they don't sell very well. Like it took them, I think, 2 years to break even with Alan Wake 2. Like a solid 2 years before they broke even. They just don't sell super well. And then FPC Firebreak, which, let's be honest, that was a terrible decision. Whoever greenlit that deserved to lose a lot of money, but that lost millions.
Kyle Parkhurst donated $10 through Super Chat. I don't think we consider how well a game runs contributes to a success.
Mm-hmm.
BF6 runs well on older hardware, and I've been playing Arc Raiders at a steady 30 FPS on my Steam Deck with 3 to 4 hour battery.
Yeah, no, I think unquestionably that is a major component. I think what we've seen this year pretty clearly demonstrates that gamers' tolerance for poor optimization and poor ports is very, very low, especially on PC. I think big channels like Digital Foundry have done a lot to contribute to that because people now are sort of educated on what they're seeing. So it used to be that like you see something just kind of looks blurry and not particularly good, but you didn't really have the vocabulary to describe what you were seeing. So you just kind of assume maybe it's just me. But now that we're seeing like channels and companies and I mean places like Digital Foundry break down what you're seeing and why and validating, no, Monster Hunter Wilds runs like crap. It's helped people be much more confident in those evaluations and estimations of poor quality. And I think on the flip side, you're also seeing customers and consumers intentionally rewarding games that are very well optimized, like KCD2. being a great example. Arc Raiders, very well optimized. Battlefield 6, as you alluded to, also very well optimized and scalable. All of these games that run really well are seemingly being rewarded for taking the time and money to do that. Capcom's lying on their bed of money crying. But Capcom even had an earnings call recently where they described how they had missed all of their recent sales. They described them as soft. Because they sold about 10 million copies of Monster Hunter Wilds within the first, I think it was, I pulled up the article, within the first like month or so, but it started to drop off significantly. So according to Capcom's results for the 3 months ending September 30th, 2025, Wild sold just 160 units, 160K units, to be clear. That's fewer than the previous quarter when the game sold 477,000 units, which Capcom called soft back then, and which influenced a drop in its stock price. In terms of units, Monster Hunter Wilds only barely made Capcom's top 10 for the quarter, selling fewer copies than Street Fighter 6, Devil May Cry HD Collection, and even Monster Hunter Rise from what, like 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago? However, these games have been heavily discounted, leading to Capcom's highest ever catalog sales for the first half of the fiscal year. Of course, it broke the company's launch record with 10 million copies in the first month, but since then it has plummeted. So what we've seen is Monster Hunter Wilds, which blew up initially with crazy number of sales, but in the last 6 months, the word of mouth has been terrible, and it's just people aren't buying it. Now, they may just be waiting for like the Iceborne equivalent expansion, the first big expansion. That's possible. But whatever's happening, people just aren't buying the new Monster Hunter. And I think a large component of it is really, really poor optimization. It still runs like crap. And if you look on Steam, this is reflected in the reviews. Look at this. This is for Capcom's, like, one of their biggest franchises. Recent reviews, mostly negative. Currently, overall English reviews are mixed at 66%. But if we just look at some of these reviews, it's just crash after crash. Can't even make it to the menu anymore after the latest updates. Half an hour fighting an arc-tempered monster by the skin of our teeth. Me and my close friend fighting our damnedest, only to be separated by a communication error, splitting each other into our own sessions and ruining the fun. If you want a good Monster Hunter, true to its formula, play Monster Hunter P3rd. All of these. Very fun, poor optimization. Capcom can do better. What an insult to the iconic Monster Hunter series people fell in love with, he says after 1,200 hours. Well, I feel like there's certain franchises where you'll see people be like, yeah, I don't recommend it, it's garbage, after putting 1,000 hours into it, you know? Oh, it's Monster Hunter Portable third. Okay, Portable. I was like, which one would that be? That makes sense. So I do think you're right. Optimization matters. It does matter. I think unquestionably. It's something they should not disregard or discount. I think absolutely. Okay. Did you see Todd Howard's GQ interview this morning about Fallout 4? Yes, we did talk about it earlier in the stream. Thank you for the 5, Alex. But yeah, we did look at it, and I was a little cheeky this morning when that went up, because I made that video on Friday. No Way Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out in 2026, and then today Todd does this interview saying it's still a long way off. So, like, told you so. Anybody who was hoping for 2026, a lot of copium. Let's see. Devin, thank you for the 5. Hi, Luke. I'm playing KCD2 now, and it's one of the best games I've ever played. Do you have anything to say about the new Monastery DLC? I'm not sure. Can I? I will have a full video going up on it. So I will have a full video going up on it. Oh yeah, some reviews went up for it. Okay. Yeah, it's very good. I think it's probably my favorite of the ones that they've done. But I will have a video going up on it, kind of saying goodbye to KCD2 and everything. And that probably goes up tomorrow, I think. That's the goal. That's the goal. But yeah, it's very good. It's very good. Pepper Spray, you're also thank you for the membership, by the way. And then I think I caught up over there. Okay. So what else did I have? I had something else. Where did it go? Yeah, you know, one of the games that's just been like totally left behind in the discourse this year is Death Stranding 2. Like, it feels like that came and went so hard. Like, is it just me? It kind of feels like that was what a lot of people were talking about as like a Game of the Year contender, and then it just kind of disappeared. Like, it really, really disappeared. Have you seen the new Grand Egyptian Museum? Yes, I would love to visit one day. It's tough with 2 toddlers, though. Doesn't, like... I've spoken to people who have traveled to Egypt, and they all unanimously are like, it's really, really tough to travel to Egypt as, like, a single person. Going with your family is also really difficult, and going with little bitty kids is also extremely difficult. So it's probably one of those places I'm not going to get to go to until the kids are a lot older, and I'll go by myself, or I'll go with Nikki and we'll do it. But yeah, I will go to the museum one day. I've just heard that Cairo and Egypt in general is a tough place to visit with kids. Until I turn 50 and Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. Yeah, exactly. Perfect timing. I can play it on the plane. Dude, what even is this? What? YouTube gets me, man. Freddy Fazbear leaves Gotham. Parentheses. Emotional. I have to see this now. Guys, try. It's going to be emotional. Try to keep it together. And I know what you're thinking. Luke, this was probably made by a 9-year-old. Stop it. This is emotional. Keep it together, Justin. Still holding the microphone. The hero we need, not the hero we deserve. Sorry, it's sad. Screenshot taken. The screenshots really sell it. Wow. My work is done. Let's just take in the comments real quick. Makes me bat drizzle my fazizzle. Faz shizzle. Activate the Fazfall protocol. Any endoskeleton can wear the suit, but to sing with a microphone to entertain the children, that's what makes them Freddy Fazbear. This game took 5 nights canonically instead of 1. It's over, Michael. The pizzeria is safe. It is emotional. That's pretty good. Real quick, guys, I just want to run up and I'm going to let Romeo out real quick because I just heard him bark and he wants to go out. So I'll go let Romeo out. I'll be back in just a minute. Just got to let the doggy out. Okay. I'll let you watch The Witcher while I'm gone. Enjoy the chair reaction. I'll be right back. Okay. Right back. Then we'll keep going. There's more. More to be done.
Sleep, is he? The ploughing plonker. Break me pearlies on this blasted pit-ridden tract. Where's fear not dry room? Aye, the devil's out there! Just running from! The builder, children.
Real quick, do you think The Witcher 4 looks better or worse than this graphically when it launches? Honest question. Because, you know, some tech demos they launch and like they don't look bad. But then you see them, the final game, and it's even better. And then other times it looks way worse. But what do you think? Slightly worse? I think so. So the one common thing with tech demos where you start to see like it doesn't scale the same is with handcrafted stuff. Okay. So like, for example, right here, you see that little hop she just did over this little bitty gap. I'm guessing there aren't little bitty gaps like that. That little hop animation probably goes away. I don't think we see that. I think her hand going and touching the rock, maybe we see that. I think when she crawls under this one, the hand that she'll put up, that might go away. Little stuff like that, because it's all very contextual. It's all like hand managed and hand animated, or not hand animated, but it's like hand orchestrated, you know. I think that stuff probably goes away. But in terms of like the foliage and the actual graphical presentation, I think it's going to look very close to this. I think it'll be the smaller stuff. Like later when like you bump into the guy and he spills the bin, this, and then the apples fall and you'll see the pigs rush out and the kid goes to get an apple too, but the pigs run up and go to eat them too. Like, are we? I don't think that's going to be in the game. Like, let's be honest. I don't think that's going to be in the game. But I think, you know, in terms of overall presentation, it probably does look like this. Probably. Imagine being like tied up to a post and everybody's just going about their Sunday shopping. It's like, guys, it's kind of humiliating. Shut up. I'm buying a turkey.
Gerbaz21 donated 35 Canadian dollars through
Thank you.
Super Chat.
Very generous.
I just sold my PS5 for the Pro last week.
Okay.
Figured it would have sold out by May for the GTA 6 release. Gets delayed a few days after I bought it. Consumerism really has me by a choke.
They got ya. They got ya. Yeah. I mean, it's not like your PS5 Pro is going to go bad. You know, I like, it's not going to go bad. But that is a little funny. It's a little funny. Gabriel, thank you for that super chat as well. I blame consoles for the constant downgrades. Watch Dogs 1 had to be made to run on PS3. I think Witcher 3 could have looked better too. I mean, with any game, you're developing it for the lowest common denominator, and in their case, they are developing it for the weakest consoles, which are going to be like the oldest ones, and then the lowest tier ones, like the Xbox Series S, for example. And those undoubtedly are holding it back. Like almost by definition, they're holding it back. But yeah, I do think that's a component of it. Okay. Let me see. I read those. I think I caught up on everything. Joshua, thank you also for the sub over on Twitch. Hey, Luke, there's not much time left for game releases this year, nor for other games to fail. Which game would you give this year's Concord Award? Great question, Joshua S, probably. Great question. I think it has to go to Mind's Eye, right? I don't think there's been another game that has been as big of a disaster as Mind's Eye was. Mind's Eye, I don't think made a single dollar in profit, certainly. But I think Mind's Eye also probably is going to result in that studio shutting down. So I think it has to be Mind's Eye. That's my final answer. It's been a pretty good year, all things considered. But yeah, every year has one. Every year gets one, you know, gets one. Okay. I want to... We were going to talk about this last stream, but we kind of ran out of time. So I want to do it this stream, okay? Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Let's do it. New segment. Arthur, I need some goddamn faith. Here we go. The man, the myth, the legend, Dan Houser. As we previously discussed in a previous segment and stream, Dan Houser went on the Lex Friedman, I don't know, podcast and talked all about his career at Rockstar, because basically he worked at Rockstar for a very long time, worked on a ton of the biggest games ever. And after that, he left. His brother is still there, but he left the studio and now is doing, I believe, like a comic book series and all sorts of stuff. It's like a whole thing. But on the Lex Friedman podcast, he described the development and work they did on Red Dead Redemption 2. And as one of the best games, in my opinion, that's ever been built, I'm very interested in hearing all about that process, especially because in a previous moment earlier in the podcast, which was in the last segment we did when he was discussing GTA 6, he described the development of Red Dead 2 as being horribly over budget, as like pretty desperate, trying to tie it together and figure it out. And it's always interesting to me to hear that a game that we all know and love and that has been so successful, to hear that it was like on the verge and was not in a good spot for a long time. That's always so surprising to me, because I'm like, really? You would not have guessed that it was struggling at all based on the final product. But let's see what he had to say about it.
You said that Red Dead Redemption 2, in your opinion, is the best thing you've ever done. I think there's a strong case to be made that it's the greatest game of all time. What are the elements that make that game truly great, do you think?
I think you had an incredibly strong team working together that was very experienced, that had basically been in place since somewhere between 2001 and 2006. So it was a long, experienced team. I think we got to spend a smaller group of us working on it from day one, coming up with some weird, wacky ideas that we got to embed in the game, and then we kind of had to follow through with, that I think was helpful. Like, we got to be very creative before it had a full team on it. I think that the cowboy setting is great because it gives a sort of mythic seriousness that sometimes doing stuff in a contemporary setting doesn't allow. You know, I think the closest we got to that kind of seriousness was GTA 4, but it just can't. Once you're setting things in the modern world, they're too frenetic. You can't get some of that slightly, you know, operatic feel that I love, that some people think is maybe a little over the top. But I love this kind of, you know, people searching for meaning within amongst the violence. I think that the West and all of the themes around the West really lend itself to that. So
I also think it's really easy to forget how different in tone and vibe Red Dead 2 is from like GTA 5. There were videos and stuff being made back in like 2017. I remember, like, it was the era of video game video essays. Like, it was right after YouTube implemented the like 10-minute mark, where if you hit 10 minutes, then your video would do way, way better. So we had a flood of video essays that were 11 minutes long, you know? And I remember watching a video essay on Red Dead 2 before it had come out. It was announced, of course, but the video essay was like, I wish I could remember who made it. But it was basically describing a concern over the tone, because they're like, I don't think Rockstar's trademarked, patented silliness that we saw in GTA 5 works in a cowboy setting. And it was basically describing how like GTA 5 is very irreverent, it's very silly, it's ridiculous. They have like the Ryan Seacrest character, they have the what is the name of the show that he runs? I always forget the name of the show. It's like Anything for Fame, or somebody's gonna tell me what it is in chat. Fame or Shame, that's it. Fame or Shame. Yeah, like they have stuff like that. They have a stock market simulator. They have all of the insane Trevor quest lines where like you randomly load back in on Trevor after you swap characters, and he's just like half naked in a dress on the side of a mountain, passed out, still hungover. Like, it's just insane. It's just ridiculous. And that, you know, that video essay at the time was basically, from what I recall, was describing how they thought that Red Dead 2 wasn't going to work because they were going to try to make it silly, and that wouldn't work for the setting. But I think Rockstar showed that they understood the setting and they didn't try to just do GTA 5, but with horses and cowboy hats. They had done it before with Red Dead 1. And of course that was, a loose successor to Red Dead Revolver that came before it. But, even Red Dead 1 tonally feels a good bit different than Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2, I like his term of like this operatic setting, this operatic stakes and vibe. I think that's accurate because like they have some big themes discussed in Red Dead 2. It really takes its time, unapologetically so, but man, does it work.
I think that, and then the gunplay was fantastic, and the horses were incredible. So I think you had this combination of kind of technical know-how, a very, very strong team, and really strong material.
Where did you have to go to in your mind, maybe philosophically, maybe spiritually, to be able to create the RDR world? So of course it was based on Red Dead Revolver, but that's a fundamentally different. I mean, that leap into the great mythic story that was Red Dead Redemption 1, and then even more so Red Dead Redemption 2. That was unlike anything you or maybe anyone has ever created in video games.
Well, thank you.
So like what drugs were involved?
No drugs.
Okay.
No, stop the drugs long before.
Okay.
That's why I did all that work.
Yeah.
Had nothing else to do. So yeah, open world video games were very good for my mental health in that way. Kept me busy. But Red Dead, I'll give you my version. The games are made by big teams.
Yeah.
So I will give you my human interest version of the story from my perspective only. We made Red Dead Revolver, finished Red Dead Revolver, that being a Capcom game, and they didn't want to finish it, so we finished it, and they released it in Japan, and we released it in the US in I think 2004, and decided we would start work on an open world cowboy game for PS3. Didn't think too much more about it, and that was we had a bunch of other stuff to work on. And slowly 2005, 2006, the game started to come to life, began to meet with the lead designer, Christian Cantamessa, and thrash out a few ideas and story ideas for the game, and begin to think about some stuff and start thinking about, well, what works for an open world game, what works for a cowboy game. And again, was being lazy or procrastinating.
Can we just, on a small tangent, when you mention you take notes when you're being lazy, what do those notes look like? Are they like
They look
doodles?
like either a yellow pad or a BlackBerry in those days, or an iPhone in these days. I'll write the subject matter and then just email myself a note. Here's a good idea. Here's a good idea. Or it might be scribbling on a pad. And then I'll assemble, if they're done digitally, then I'll assemble them into one long Word file. And then
It reminds me, have you guys ever heard the discussions of like how Eminem works on lyrics? Eminem, I remember reading an article or something about how he kind of worked, and they said when he was working on lyrics for one of his albums, he came in with like a binder, like a notebook binder thing, and it was filled with all sorts of random little pieces of paper and scraps, and even like napkins from a hotel bar or a restaurant. And it was because when he was like out at dinner and he had an idea for like a lyric or a rhyme or a double entendre or something, he would take a pen and he'd write it down on whatever he had handy, like a cocktail napkin, and then he write it down and he puts it in his pocket, and then later he puts it in this binder, and then he's able to compile into these very successful and very impressive songs later. And this kind of reminds me of the same vibe, where it's like always thinking, it never ever stops. He's always got the gears turning.
And I'll look at them and go, here's an idea, and see if it comes to anything. See if I can aggregate them together and then read through them. If there's anything coherent there. Sometimes a character like this, a character like that. This would be a funny line. This is a line for the main character. Actually make the main character work like this, or what about this relationship? As you start to just play around with, what about if we start in that place, go to that place, just start to play around with all of the different bits and pieces. And we begun to flesh out some flow for the start of the game, and this idea you'd start in dusty American West, which meant we didn't have to make too many trees, and then go to Mexico, and then come back. And we had a sort of loose flow, and I was really scared of writing any actual dialogue. and I didn't have a clue how to go about it. And it'll come. And then and I could postpone it for ages because we were doing GTA 4, and I kept worrying about it. And then my work was wrapped on GTA 4, but the game wasn't out yet. And we've done a bunch of the marketing stuff, and I had a little window when I wasn't doing much else. And I took a week with my then girlfriend, now wife, who was heavily pregnant with our first child. And we went up to a house upstate and sat there she sat there either cooking for me or watching TV or reading. And I went and sat in the room all day, every day, and just sat there and stared at the computer and tried to think about, how can I do this that it doesn't sound ridiculous? How can you write in a cowboy idiom that feels both slightly contemporary, but also gives the game this sort of life and this weight that I want it to have, and think we can get away with? And after about 3 days, it just started to come. And then suddenly I wrote about 9-10 scenes in the next couple of days. And after that, I knew I had it. And it was, I don't know if that was why there was so much about a character caring about his family, because I was just beginning the process of having a family.
Oh,
So I don't know to what extent that bled in there, but I think it bled in there to some extent.
So that was part of the creating the 360-degree characters.
I think so.
Here's this man that is capable, is involved in a lot of violence, but also cares about his family.
He's grown up and is trying to step away from that and be a man, be a grown up. And can he get away from it? And then when he can't get away from it, what's he willing to do to save his family? And that was, I felt, starting to get some idea, feeling just, I mean, she hadn't given birth yet, but I was beginning to grapple with the ideas of, I'm going to become a parent. So I hope some of that, and obviously then I probably didn't write any more for 6 months. So later on I had a child, but certainly for that first bit, I think some of that began to bleed in there.
You got the feeling that you can actually do it. It's true. It's, it could have very easily been ridiculous and not believable, the dialogue between cowboys. And
Yes.
I mean, there's probably so much work went into making it feel real and believable, and like that, like
It's like the same way I think they would treat a a pirate game really well if they were to do that. Because they'd be able to do it justice. It's so easy whether you do cowboys or pirates or even medieval knights and stuff like that. It's very easy to fall into the campy, kitschy, like stereotypical thing. Arg, matey. Like, it's so easy to do that kind of crap. Or howdy, partner. Like, it's so easy. But what I appreciate is that they don't do that. Like, there's moments where they might joke about it or might have like one character who's like the stereotypical archetype. But man.
a Shakespearean type of drama, but not the cheesy kind.
Well, just wanted it to feel when they spoke. I mean, I love dialogue. I'm always, I love the sound of words, but just wanted to feel like when they sounded, it didn't sound cheesy. It didn't sound ridiculous. You wanted to hear them speak more. It didn't make you cringe awfully when they spoke.
Can you imagine having a story-driven game where cutscenes where it's not cringy? Like, I can't believe I've been trying to figure out why or like what happened that made this occur. But like, there was a moment probably right after, COVID broke out, where they started hiring these writers that were just bad across the industry. And we ended up with dialogue that was just difficult to listen to. Like, it just was miserable. And I mean, it really is profound because it's not that easy to pull off. But some of this dialogue, man, was like so difficult to sit through. Let me see if I can I'll find you an example. Let me just play you an example real quick. Okay. Maybe, I know which one. You ready? No cringing. This is a serious scene. You ready? No cringing.
Don't blow this for us, man. What'd I just tell you?
Wait, we don't shoot these guys here? Aw, okay, that's on me.
Remember, he said, I want dialogue where the characters want, like, you want to hear them talk more. Ask yourself if you want to listen to these guys talk more.
Oh, Christ. Mandy, baby, is that you? Oh, I'm so glad you're alive.
Shut it! It was a gamble adding you to this Task Force X, and I'm sick of your bullshit already. So I guess you'll fit right in.
The Joker, baby.
Keep him in line.
Put it in me.
Oh, mate, bloody hell. Now you've just made it weird.
Like, that's a joke you make when, like, you're kind of drunk with your friends and they all make fun of you for how bad it is.
Hal?
Hell no. Been there, done that, got the scars, did some healing. I'm not into that type anymore.
Maladaptive narcissists?
Comedians.
Come on, Deadshot. Sharko, you want to have a go this time?
My hands are too large.
We sure about this, Director?
Oh, this brings back memories of my old Suicide Squad.
Here we go.
They're all dead. What a tragedy. What a heartbreaker. The sprays of blood, the smell of singed hair, the viscera. Oh, the viscera. I'd definitely do it differently this time around. Cleaner.
Well, congratulations, Task Force X. It took you all of 20 seconds to lose control of them.
Hey, don't misunderstand me here.
Plot twist, he put it in himself. You thought we were going to talk about Red Dead 2 in this video and not talk about Suicide Squad even just a little bit? Haha, joke's on you. This is a Luke Stevens segment. Of course we're bringing up Suicide Squad. But no, that's a great example of just the polar opposite, okay? There were people whose job, they were hired full-time to write for Rocksteady, and that's what they produced. They paid their, like, rent and, like, made a living putting out that. That's insane. Now, thankfully, I think it's pretty clear that the industry has listened to those frustrations and adjusted. Because as I've said, what executives love even more than thinking something is really slay is they love money way more. And you know what they hate more than anything is losing money. So for them, they've actually taken steps, and a lot of these writers and stuff have been fired, laid off. A lot of them aren't in the industry anymore. I told you guys the story about one of the people I saw that was a writer on one of these games that was laid off and is currently working at a Starbucks. I don't say that to be like, boo-hoo, you suck, you're at Starbucks. Working at Starbucks can unironically be a pretty sweet gig. Apparently they have a lot of like college tuition matching programs and stuff. It actually seems like a decent place to work, actually. But the point is, they're not in the industry anymore. They were like booted out because they were so bad at writing that they had to go get a different job. And I think that that's what's happened with a lot of these companies. For example, every named writer in the credits at BioWare that worked on Dragon Age Veilguard, every single one of those writers, if you look in the credits, you can go to their LinkedIn, you can try to find them. None of them are still employed with BioWare. All of them are gone. Some of them decided to leave preemptively. Others were laid off, because they didn't jump ship beforehand, but all of them are gone. And I think, again, it's an indication that the executives of these companies, like, ultimately, they don't care what you were trying to do. If your game flops and everybody agrees the writing was the reason, you're going to get laid off. And that's why it's so refreshing to hear somebody who's a very talented writer who prioritizes good writing discuss his process and discuss how these should be the basic priorities. Setting aside character arcs and all that stuff that comes with writing a story, he's like, even just in the most bare bones basic way, you should want to listen to the characters talk more. You should want to listen to what they're saying. You should be excited when a cutscene starts because you're going to get to hear more. Like, that's the most foundational elements of writing one of these stories. And it's something that those games, and like what we just looked at, fails catastrophically at, which makes you question what their pillars were. If their pillars are make characters that are interesting and compelling, you want to listen to them talk, what were the pillars for Saints Row reboot? What were the pillars for Forspoken? What were the pillars for that Suicide Squad game? Like, what was even going on? And it's because their pillars were not that. Their pillars were apparently, I guess, like, include dialogue about student loans and make the characters slay. I don't know what else you could say. Continuing.
That was at some level, that was all the goal was. And then they felt like this guy was going to go on this life and death odyssey, and you cared about him. You had to care about his wife and child that he left behind, even though you didn't know them.
When did you know how you're going to end Red Dead Redemption 1?
I remember I did a meeting with Christian, the designer. I can't remember what year, probably some point late 2008, early 2009. And we were discussing the last bit and said, I think he's got to die. And he leapt on that idea and went, that's, yes, no. I went, no, it can't work. Games can't work like that. They can't work if he's dead. And then I began to think through, well, if we just technically, it doesn't work because you have to be able to finish all the stuff up. And then began to think through, actually, I think we can make it work if we do it this way. And so he then really pushed for that idea. And it seemed to, I was like, I was still torn. I thought it was clever narratively, but I was torn if it was going to work technically as a piece of game design, but I think it did.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, of course. How do we tell the story of that?
Yeah, man, I think it's one of the most, like, I don't know, it probably iconic is the word for it, but it's one of the most vivid and, like, memorable moments I've had in a game probably ever. It's this very particular shot of John opening the doors. Like, that is just so ingrained into my brain. I don't know how else to describe it than it's just iconic. This moment where he opens the doors knowing what he's facing, it's just so well done.
How do we tell the story of that? Well, so he goes through a lot. John does all the dirty work of hunting down his old gang, and he finally is able to go home and be with his family, be on the ranch, and then the government betrays him and sends troops to kill him, and there is dialogue. I mean, that's just I think the 2 times I shed a tear in video game history for me is that dialogue. I think John talking to his wife, if I vaguely remember, I think he said, "I love you." But he said very little. He made it seem like he's going to see her and his son shortly. That dialogue was masterfully done, like a definition of, like, less is more. It was just so crisp. That, and of course the other one is, again, from memory, Arthur riding his horse and the music is playing. It's very hard not to shed a tear during that. Anyway, the dialogue of John talking to his wife at the end when he's in a barn and is about to walk out to face certain death.
Do you think Lex also cries the way that he talks? Because he talks in all lowercase spaghetti. Have you noticed that? It's all just like, It's like Lil Wayne, if Lil Wayne didn't smoke as much.
Do you remember writing that?
Oh yeah, yeah. But it does again. The actor was so good, and we've already seen a bunch of his work by then.
Yeah.
He was so good at reading those lines that I knew he could give us that you could feel with that point. Like I think those lines are best when they're really short and punchy, and so I knew he'd be able to make that line sound good.
So you were imagining his voice.
Yeah,
You
and I think all of those actors on Red Dead Redemption 1 were so strong that they really brought that game to life. If them and Rod the director hadn't done such a good job, it would have sounded cheesy as hell.
Yeah, you've said that the ending of RDR1 is one of the best things you've been a part of creating. Why? Why is that ending so powerful to you? What does it represent?
I think because for the story to work, I mean, just from a technical challenge, for the story to work, he had to die. But for a game to work, it felt like a challenge to make him die. It was probably the 4th, 5th, or 6th open world game I'd worked on, and I'd spent all these years before that working out how these stories worked, how to make them work technically, how to make them feel right, how they interacted with the open form gameplay as best I could. And suddenly we're going to break one of our golden rules, which was at the end of the game, you're freeing the character to go and wrap up all the side stories to play forever. You're not going to be able to do that in this game because the guy's going to be dead, and we're going to have you play as a different character. And the narrative is going to be, if we've done a good job, compelling enough where you're not going to care about that, and or you're going to be upset that he's dead, but you're going to actually have this emotional moment. So I think it was a big risk from a technical perspective for us to do that, and then it worked. So I think that was something that was full of fear, and it worked. It worked out okay. I mean, I think people were really upset and angry at us for doing it because they didn't think it was going to happen. But I think they also had that kind of experience you're describing, which is that kind of creative moment where, transcendent moment with characters in a piece of fiction, which is what we've always aspired to giving people.
I mean, it's incredible because I don't remember a single video game that has done that before.
Well, I would like to have at the end of GTA 4 killed Nico, but you couldn't do it. The game doesn't work that way. So it was this thing where we hadn't done it, thought about doing it, hadn't done it, and then going, let's do it. Let's take the risk and do it. We can't do it. Let's try it, and it worked.
Yeah. What about the decision?
Oh, so I was muted. It's one of the expectations, actually, is that a lot of people think that the ending of GTA 6 is just going to be Bonnie and Clyde, but set in the modern day. So it's going to end with them both dying. And I personally hope that it's not. I mean, other people are like, oh, he's going to actually be a double agent. He's going to betray Lucia, and then that's going to be the big moment. Is that he kind of double crosses the people that he double crossed her with, and then they both get killed at the end of it. I hope it's not that predictable, but I guess time will tell. There's going to be a lot of fan theories for the story once we get another trailer, I'm sure. If we get another trailer, I guess I should say.
With the son, John give so much effort to make sure that Jack doesn't end up in a life of violence. And then it's very Godfather-like. He's dragged back into it through revenge.
That was also, the game still had to work as a game. Whether that was the right ending, 100% the best ending from a pure storytelling perspective, I don't know. But I know that we had to make the game work.
Interesting.
So it was. I think it kind of worked in that way where Jack can't escape, but I always also wanted a version of it where Jack did escape, but that wasn't. Both were interesting to me.
Can you just dig in a little deeper? Like, what do you mean about for the game to work? It's such a direct. It's like a Kubrick talking about for this movie to work. It has to have, because from my perspective, I just think about the story. What's the technical aspect for the game to work?
The mechanical experience is. You have an avatar you control, and the games don't really end, and you have to be able to wander around the world and do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the game, you had to be able to wander around with your fairly limited set of features, which is you can, run up to someone and punch them, or run up to someone and shoot them, or run up to someone and rob them, or run up to someone and talk to them, and that's or run up and jump on a horse or do all this other stuff. In order for the game still to be fun and people to get this full 360-degree experience with it, they had to, if they wanted to 100% the game as opposed to just finishing the story, you have to have an avatar to do that stuff with. So that was the sort of challenge of Jack's character / wrapping up the story as Jack.
Well, and nowadays it's kind of taken for granted that that's like something. I mean, so many games will have it where like the main story puts the characters in a position or changes the world in some way where you can't really just continue after that. So what a lot of games will do now is that they'll have basically a save state where it's the point of no return, and it pops up and says, if you continue on here, you won't be able to come back. You'll have to load back in. This is where the story comes to an end or whatever. And then when you finish the game, you load back to that point, and then you can continue doing all the side stuff. But you've seen where the story goes. Literally Cyberpunk, yeah. And I think that's again, it's something we take for granted. It's something that's pretty normalized now. But back then, like it was just something you didn't really do. Like the story would end in a way where the characters and everybody could just kind of continue on so that you could keep playing,
Although there's real power.
Yeah. Never ever meet Hanako. Yeah. Dude, that one quest objective has got to be like one of the most iconic, memorable quest objectives. Not because people love doing it so much, but because people stared at that objective marker for so long. Because you got to that point very quickly, and then you do side stuff for another 40 hours or 50 hours or whatever. But it was actually a reflection. I remember CD Projekt Red talked about how they were, they got the stats for The Witcher 3. And a ton of players never got to the end of the main story. They played through half of the story and then did side stuff and then walked away from the game. And they didn't want that to happen. They wanted players to experience the full story of Cyberpunk. So they made it way more condensed. But what inevitably happened was people would go through the main story, hit that Hanako at Ember's quest objective, and then they just be like, oh, okay. And then you go and do all the side stuff. And as long as you don't really think about like how Hanako is just sitting at Embers waiting for you, it's fine. But yeah, I think it was probably too short personally. But anyway.
For the avatar to end, the finiteness.
Yeah, both the Red Dead, you obviously change avatar, which we got, and then did it again. I think there's something interesting about that moment when you change from one character to another, because they are you and they're not you, and then just suddenly you're someone else.
I mean, I was really shaken by that experience, but it's a beautiful experience. It's like an unforgettable experience. And what else can video games possibly reach for? That's to create that experience. That's what great films do. That's what great books do.
It's that. I mean, it's that and the world building in games. I think the experience of being in this fake place and then taking on these narrative adventures. When that combines, you've got the amazing experience.
So, who do you think is the best character you've ever created in RDR? So to me, I think definitively Arthur from Red Dead Redemption 2 is the best character ever created in video games. Ever. I think there's not even I mean, John would be the same, which is hilarious to say. But like those are John would be a close second. But Arthur is definitively, and you've talked about in that interview, you said that a lot of video games work on the same premise, that you start as a weak person and end up as a strong superhero. But what if you start as a tough guy? Someone who already is very strong, someone that is emotionally confident of his place in the world. Arthur's journey is not about becoming a superhero, because he's almost one at the start, but it's about an intellectual roller coaster when his worldview gets taken apart. So it's very different than the normal journey of a character.
Yeah, in a game.
In a
I
game.
wanted to reverse it.
Yeah.
So there were a couple other themes that matched that. So they're guys from the Wild West, but they're being pushed ever further east. So it was almost like an anti-Western, an Eastern. You're traveling east. You're traveling into civilization. And I don't think I would have been grappling with those ideas earlier in my career, because there was, this idea of getting a different kind of strength and a different kind of weakness was interesting.
What about the component of mortality, of a character facing his own mortality over a prolonged period? Sort of just realize the prospect of like real sort of fear of death, realization of death.
Yeah, I thought that was really
part of the story.
Really a fun thing to play with. John dies in Red Dead 1 and wanted to top that with Red Dead 2 or do that in a different way. And so the idea that John's death is fairly sudden. And so if he's got this long drawn out death, and then I'd always been obsessed by TB. As diseases go, it's a great literary device, you know, because it is this long drawn out slow death, but in which you are also getting weaker. And my grandfather actually had TB before they invented antibiotics and was sent to a sanatorium just after he'd had his child, my father, and survived, but only 3 of them out of like 35 survived. So I was always captivated and by TB as an illness. It felt like it was an interesting thing to play around with as an idea, this guy getting weaker who felt like he was immortal and essentially was immortal. He was the protagonist in a video game. He could not die, and suddenly he is becoming mortal. And you know, but that helps him see stuff. I thought that was a different way of doing a lead character in a game.
Yeah. Do you think?
Can we just take a moment to appreciate how insane it is to write a video game and then like literally the elevator pitches, yeah, so it's going to be a cowboy western, and then you're going to gain a lot of powers and abilities and level up and stuff, but about halfway through the game you're going to get tuberculosis and steadily get more and more sick until you die. So that's what we're going to do. It's way before halfway. Technically, he gets it way before halfway. I don't know exactly when this moment with the doctor is. I feel like it's roughly halfway, but maybe it's earlier. Maybe it's later. I don't know. But he does technically catch it earlier. You're right. But it only really kicks in about halfway. That being said, it's a crazy premise for a game. It's a crazy premise for a game that shouldn't work. But you can tell at some point they had this idea for TB. And they're like, okay, what would we have to do mechanically in the game to get that working? And what they do is really clever. Like his cores start to fall off and grow weaker as he gets more and more sick. That's a really clever way of doing it, where it's like breaking those conventions, which is that as the game goes, you know, line goes up. As the game goes on, my stamina will rise. So my stamina stat goes up. My health stat is going to go up as the game goes on, you know? But in Red Dead 2, they're like, no. Your health stat or your stamina core is going to go up like that, but then it's going to start to go off as he gets sicker. Same with your health stat. It's going to go up, but then he gets sick and it'll start to trail off. They just break those conventions. And that's what I love, is when a game comes and it's just like, no, that thing you just took for granted, we're going to do it different. I love it. It's brilliant.
It's the greatest character you've ever created.
I think he's the best lead character. You know, the lead characters are different from the side characters, and I think he's the most rounded and works the best. Him and Nico are the two I like. You know, they were the two most ambitious. So
Yeah,
for
I'm
me,
with
it's always sort of a toss up. You know, but then I loved all the stuff like the art team did such an amazing job. It was their idea with the journal and that kind of like the way that all the features worked into Arthur's character. I thought that was he was really rounded. He worked in lots of different ways really well.
And one of my favorite little details is that after you finish the main game and you go and you play as John, and then he picks up like the notebook and kind of continues that
53
on.
Knights donated $9.
His writing and drawing is significantly
through
worse.
Super Chat. Thank you.
Thank you for what? Oh, well, I mean, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Very generous. You're welcome. Yeah. I freaking love how John will start drawing stuff, but then his drawings are way worse, or his writing and penmanship isn't as good. I love that, but he kind of picks it up and continues. It's great.
I loved like his flawed relationship with his old girlfriend, things like that. All the side, you know, the bits that kind of turned up around him.
So you also like the side characters. You like the the flavor,
of
the full cast. What are some of the favorites you've created? I'm sure the one you're currently working on, Nigel Dave. If you called him a side character.
Well, he's not a protagonist. He's like he's a god, not a character.
Sure.
So he's not him. I'm enjoying. I love Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was partly because we wrote a few lines for him for the first game, and the actor did such an amazing job that when he spoke, it just came to me all of their backstory, which I'd been playing around with by that point anyway, a little bit in my head, but I knew it was this bigger gang stuff, and then I sort of saw exactly who he was, and so that felt like he felt like a living character to me.
And we should say that Dutch is kind of like maybe a little bit of a godlike figure.
Yeah.
In both of the Red Dead Redemption games, and he's the leader of the gang. And there's a father-son relationship with Dutch, with Arthur, with John. I mean, there's a family feeling to the gang that you explore all of those dynamics, and then the feeling of betrayal and Arthur facing tuberculosis. Mm-hmm. You're going against the family, going against the father because he is transforming his sense of the world, of morality, of all those kinds of things. So all the kind of very Shakespearean drama is right there, and Dutch is a prominent godlike figure through all of that. Also flawed himself, also a man of good and evil in that framework that they're operating under.
He's just drowning in his ego at the end.
Yeah.
You know, his ego gets the better of him. I think but there was something flawed but beautiful in his idealism when he was younger, and that's mostly off camera. And then just, you know, always been, as an individual, I've always been very susceptible to charming people, and he's charming.
What I love about Dutch is that there is, what I love about certain antagonists especially is that, it's calling Dutch an antagonist is interesting because for the majority of the game, he doesn't take on that role until much, much later. But what I love about Dutch is that he is charming. That's absolutely true. But there's admirable parts of him, or at least what initially seemed to be admirable traits, where it's all about taking care of the family, and it's trying to take his crew to a better place, to a place where they can be healthy and safe and everything. And later on, as you get to see more of what's going on, you start to understand more about how he works and what his real priorities are and how he's mostly manipulating, but for his own selfish desires. But also at the same time, it's like, does Dutch even, like, is he believing his own BS? You know, like he says everything's for the family. You know, we got to do what's best for the people in our camp and that we've traveled with. But does he actually believe that? Because, like, really, he's mainly interested in making sure that he can collect enough money. He's hoarding a lot of it. It's mostly about control, and you know, he's probably like a malignant narcissist at his core. But does he at this point believe his own crap, or is it just that he knows that he's kind of BSing people and he just kind of twists it and bends it where he needs to? I think for me, the most interesting part with everything is that we never get to see the initial score, you know, that kickstarts, where is it? It's not Black Rock. It's, you know, the score that goes bad right before the game starts. What was it called? Blackwater. I was like, Black something. Blackwater. I love that we don't know exactly what happened. I love that we don't know all the nitty gritty details. I love that that's mysterious, because it really twists and taints your perception of those characters. But yeah, absolutely. I could talk about Dutch all day. I love Dutch as he's written, as he's performed. It's really, really good. Yeah. What really went down back there on that boat? Exactly. I love it.
And so I can see how people get captivated by charming people. And the idea here was a very charming person, and the roads run out for him.
I personally am afraid of...
and the road running out, I also love that, because it's a similar thing with like Walter White in Breaking Bad, where there's a certain element of him that's charming. He is objectively doing terrible things consistently for 6 seasons, basically. but you're still rooting for him in a weird sort of way. Even though you shouldn't be, you should be rooting for his downfall. You're still sort of rooting for him. But it's this, for both of them, they're very smart, very capable characters who are sort of charming, who are doing things for what they say are noble reasons, even if they're not, even if they are ultimately selfish motivations. They are trying to convince themselves and those around them that it's for selfless reasons that they're doing what they're doing, even if they're not noble actions. But then both of them reach a point where they run out of road, where they have nowhere else to go, and it breaks them because they have to confront reality. You know, they have to confront where their actions have actually led them and what they've actually done. One of my favorite moments in all of Breaking Bad, for example, is the moment where Walter, sort of spoilers, but this is something I think people know of, and it's a decade old at this point, over a decade old. It's the moment where Walter punches the paper dispenser in the bathroom. And what's fascinating is it comes in the scene after he finds out that he's in remission. He doesn't, like, he's actually fighting off the cancer. But then he takes out the paper towel. And then this happens. It's like my favorite moment, I think, in this first half of the show. And it's so profound because it's in that moment where, just like when Dutch runs out of road, when Walter runs out of road later in the story, in this moment, he's been using his cancer to justify all of his actions. But now that he's in remission, he's going to have to live with what he's done. And he kind of snaps because it conflicts with the narrative he's been telling himself, with the justifications he's been making for himself. And now that he's going into remission, he has to just live with what he's done. And it makes him snap. And I love that. I love that kind of thing. And Breaking Bad has it in droves, certainly, but Red Dead does as well. It's so good. Continuing.
How much I love human beings.
Not for him.
I personally am afraid of how much I love human beings and how susceptible I am to charm and charisma.
Yeah.
Because it can cloud your judgment about.
Oh, did it mute?
That's what's happened with him.
Judgment about human nature.
Completely. And that's what's happened with him. And it ended up clouding his judgment about himself. He kind of fell for his own rubbish.
Yeah. But also it clouded Arthur's judgment.
Oh, completely. Arthur was completely, platonically in love with him. He was worshipping him. He'd given up his power to him. And then I think for Arthur, the journey is retaking that power in the moment of dying. That's what I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's truly tragic for Arthur to be losing his identity, lifelong identity, and the sense of belonging, and losing his life at the same time. In facing the mortality, he is realizing that he's not. All of it has been a lie.
But he gets to do some. Well, it depends on what the choices you make.
Yeah.
But he gets to do some good.
Yes.
And so he gets his moment of redemption.
Just a little bit, but realizing
he gets his Red Dead redemption too. It's absolutely the case that that Arthur is kind of torn apart over the course of the story. It's not an easy thing to write for either. But I've noticed, I think Vince Gilligan, again, the show creator behind Breaking Bad, he put it really well in one of those behind the scenes interviews he did about Breaking Bad, where he said, we like to write ourselves into corners, where we write something and we don't really know how we're going to resolve it in that moment, but we write ourselves into a corner. We decide this is a point of conflict. This is challenging. This is tough. We don't really know how the character is going to find their way out of it, but we're going to figure it out. Or maybe he doesn't get his way out of it, but they write themselves into corners. And in the case of Red Dead 2, again, I feel like the game is just one gigantic corner that they've written themselves into. Again, starting off with the premise of a character that develops tuberculosis halfway through and then dies at the end of it. Writing a story about a gang that's falling apart and is controlled by a malignant narcissist controlling everybody. Like, it's very difficult to write that story, but they managed to do it. And it's why I admire those risks in trying to write a difficult story, as opposed to a lot of the more placid stories we get that are just very safe and samey. It's my frustration. I've been playing more Outer Worlds 2, and I feel like a lot of those stories are just so safe. Like, it's just stereotypical kind of bland sci-fi RPG stuff, you know, nothing really, really profound. You want to think about a profound, difficult to write story? Think about the Bloody Baron questline in The Witcher 3. Imagine walking into the studio one day and saying, I have an idea for a quest. Like, okay, what is it? And you describe it and they're like, Jesus Christ, what? You want to write what? But they pulled it off. You know, it's crazy.
Your whole life, you've been living not a good life. You've been not a good man.
Isn't that what we're all afraid of?
I guess it's never too late to change your ways. So the biggest, most important question, primary, central to the reason we're talking today, the number one question from the internet.
Yeah, I guess Bloody Baron questline. Yeah, it's not the best example, but you know what I mean? Like, any sort of storyline in any sort of really profound RPG, even just writing the quest line itself, regardless of inspirations, is very difficult.
It is so ridiculous, but I must ask, have you seen Gavin? Who is Gavin? So for more context, there's a guy named Nigel in Red Dead Redemption 2 who's frantically searching for a mystery man named Gavin throughout the game. This has become one of the biggest mysteries amongst the interwebs, the RDR fan base. So the theories include, theory one is it's a split personality disorder.
Yeah, so in Red Dead 2, a frantic British man named Nigel wanders the map desperately searching for his missing friend Gavin. This unsolvable mystery has become one of the game's biggest debates.
Nigel himself is Gavin. So the evidence is the letter for this theory that has some evidence that maybe due to trauma, the split personality disorder was created. Gavin was created inside Nigel's mind. Theory 2 is Gavin is dead and Nigel is simply in denial. Theory 3 is that it's just a troll and Rockstar intentionally created an unsolvable mystery to drive players crazy. I also heard theory 4 is Gavin is the strange man. So there's this fascinating character, the strange man, this supernatural character that has a presence in RDR 1 and a little bit in RDR 2 also. Yeah. So which theory is closest to the truth?
Not 3 or 4. Somewhere in my mind, somewhere between 1 and 2. Yeah, I just loved the way he shouted Gavin. It just amused me.
Gavin!
So at some level, it probably is trolling in that we didn't want it to be a totally clear mystery. You wanted it to have a little bit of adventure to it. But it was meant to be, without ever fully being explained, that Gavin's not there anymore. Gavin's either gone home, Gavin's left him, and we were going to keep exploring that idea. He was going to reappear in some way or other.
Did you have any idea how much imagination, excitement, and curiosity that little interaction would inspire in people?
Yes and no. I mean, no, you never know what people are going to find amusing in these big games. And a lot of it comes down to acting as well. The guy was just funny when he said Gavin.
Yeah.
It was just funny.
Yeah.
You know, but there was a ped in Red Dead Redemption 1 that everyone was obsessed by. And I really wasn't expecting that. So we try and put a few characters in. I mean, Gavin was supposed to be amusing. I thought he was amusing. But you never know what people are going to get obsessed by. There are other characters I think are funny and the people don't even notice them. You know, or they see them in a completely different way.
Did you have a part in writing the letter?
Yeah, I can't remember if I wrote it or either I wrote it or Mike wrote it or we both wrote it. I really can't remember, to be honest with you. But yeah, I certainly would have edited it. And Mike might have written it or I might have written it. I really can't remember.
It's so fascinating because that little piece of writing, of course, you have thousands of pages.
Yeah.
That little piece of writing gets like analyzed.
Oh, but we certainly talked about it in depth. And if Mike was here, I'd ask him. He might remember. I can't. We do so much of those things, and I loved the use of letters in Red Dead to tell all these weird backstories, and some became very clear, and some were still a little kind of opaque. But the general vibe was there was no Gavin. Either there was no Gavin, or he'd long since left.
I love mysteries in games, though. I absolutely love it because sometimes if you do too much, it can be frustrating. Like if you have the door. I remember, I think it was playing Bloodborne. There's a door in Bloodborne pretty early in the game, down like a spiral staircase kind of thing. And the door just doesn't open. You can never get the door open. It's something from development. Maybe at one time it connected somewhere, but they never open the door. It doesn't connect to anything. You just can't open it. But I remember when I played that, grinding like an extra 2-3 hours trying to find a secret route to get to that door and like unlock it and see how it connected to the rest. Turns out it's just a door. Like it doesn't do anything. But that mystery, I, for whatever reason, found really engaging. Like I tried to figure out how that freaking door connected to everything else. Turns out it didn't. It was just like whatever. But it just sometimes it's spinning your wheels. I think is okay. As a gamer, I think it's okay to spin your wheels every once in a while. If you do it too much, it's just frustrating and players will mentally check out. But if you keep it engaging, like with Gavin, where players like, I wonder if Gavin is somewhere. Is Gavin like the Bigfoot in the mountains? Like what is going on?
So it's kind of a split personality, and then we were going to over subsequent games that provide more information.
So in some sense, you yourself don't quite know. You kind of have an idea. So he could like which way do you lean more, theory 1 or 2? Is he dead and the guy and Nigel's in denial, or is there real communication going inside his head?
No, Gavin existed. So it wasn't that he was a split personality, and the only thing we hadn't really decided was in a future game, were we going to reveal that Gavin was dead, or was Gavin going to turn up having long since abandoned this maniac? That was what we're still playing around with. I think the idea was that he was never going to meet Gavin in this game.
It's just fascinating because you have to think about all of that. You have to write all of that. You have to have those discussions. You have to have those debates,
and it has to feel fresh. That was what we've done before. Constantly looking as you do. I think I did. Somewhere between 15 and 20 of these games. Got to do stuff that's new. It can't repeat itself too much.
I mean, we also live in the age of the internet. Just like you realize there's like millions of people worrying about where and who Gavin is.
Thank God.
It's like it's
great.
fascinating that they're having. Think about people reading like James Joyce or something, and thinking about like breaking apart Ulysses, and thinking about like arguing about different interpretations of it. To me, that in itself is also beautiful.
Yeah, we want the side mysteries to be solvable up to a point, but you still want these discussions.
Yeah,
and you want, but as long as it feels tonally appropriate for this whole big sort of Shaggy Dog story experience you're making. Which Gavin was just about, and he was so weird, and it just was intrinsically there was just something funny about an English person screaming Gavin. I don't know why.
Yeah, some of that humor. I mean, there's certainly in Red Dead Redemption there's humor, but there's a lot.
I also love the idea that probably one of the reasons why he's still in the game and why he didn't like get cut or trimmed or changed is just because like the actor came in, started screaming Gavin, and they were just like, he just says it weird. He just says it kind of funny. So let's keep it in. Like sometimes it's as simple as that. It's like, yeah, he just sounds funny. It's just funny, That's sometimes all you need.
Auto in Grand Theft Auto, and it's hard to put into words why that's funny, why it becomes meme, why it becomes viral, because it's just funny.
I know why I think it's funny, but what I'm not good at doing at least is going, this thing will become really popular online and this other thing won't. Yeah. You can create this bunch of 50 different side things that people might get captivated by, and you just do not know what they're going to respond to.
How do you know when something's funny? Is it you just feel it?
I know what I think is funny. It's
you just giggle at it yourself.
Just because it's ridiculous as well. That was just there's nothing funny about a dude shouting Gavin a lot.
Yeah.
He just said it I just thought it might be funny, and he just said it in such a funny way.
Yeah.
And then it just became funny. Like we often have those side characters.
I do feel like Lex is one of those guys that's like, let's explain the joke. Let's spend Let's spend 20 minutes discussing the philosophical implications of this joke and explore why it's funny. And it's like, dude, it's just funny. It's just stupid and funny, okay? Why do you have a candle of Todd Howard dressed up like a saint from the Catholic Church? Why is that? Is that a commentary on the power that game developers have over their audience? And do you think that I don't know, dude. It's just funny. Why do you have a cardboard cutout? Is it a symbolism of statues? And is it supposed to make you think of a religious figure so you recognize the power disparity? It's funny. It's stupid, okay? Like, sometimes there's not much more than that, you know? It's just stupid.
And they're not that funny. And I think they're going to be hysterical. And then you put them in the game and they're fine, but they're not amazing. That guy just brought that stuff to life.
Yeah. And there's a backstory too. I mean, Londoner and not.
Yeah, I think that was what, you know, just there's something sometimes fun. You know, an English person saying the name Gavin is quite funny.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
So about the Strange Man, aka the Man in Black, is there some element with Michael and the therapist in Grand Theft Auto 5? Like, who is the Strange Man?
Well, the Strange Man was someone we came up with quickly. We made Red Dead 1, and we're making Red Dead 1, and we'd made this, we felt, quite compelling story and quite interesting open world, and we'd already made a bunch of Grand Theft Autos, obviously, but unfortunately we'd taken out the machine guns because it was a cowboy game, apart from the big fixed position ones, and we'd taken out the cars, and we'd taken out the city and large numbers of pedestrians. So we essentially had a game about a dude riding a horse around the desert, and it was quite boring. And so we then started filling it with content, and we filled it with these, and having to improvise, and we filled it with these things we call random events that would be these sort of mocap moments that you could interact with. And it was they were the designers did an amazing job with those. They were really fun, but there was not enough of them. And then we felt we needed more story because the story was perhaps a little short. So we kind of, quite late in development, started putting in almost like these RPG type content where you go and meet someone. And the way we thought of them was they were like short stories. So you go and meet someone, they'd set you a slow problem, like go and collect me 15 bunches of flowers. And when you came back, it would resolve your story. And so one go and get them for my bride, and you come back and the bride's dead. You know, we tried to make them like these short stories with a stinging tail. And
short stories with a stinging tail.
I was trying to come up with ideas for those.
Sonic Core donated $10 through Super Chat. Sorry, I know this is off topic, but what do you think will be the biggest year in gaming in the next 5 years? Some say 2025, but next year is pretty stacked too, unless GTA 6 and ES6 gets pushed again.
Biggest, I have a sneaking suspicion it's probably going to be 2028, because I think with 2028 in the fall/winter you're going to get next gen console launches. I think you will also get, probably that year, Witcher 4, Elder Scrolls 6. I think we also will likely have a new Larian game, and it should time out roughly correctly to see I think what was the other one? There was a new Harry Potter game, Hogwarts Legacy 2 or whatever, and we know those sell like gangbusters. So I think 2028 probably is going to be the next massive one. I do think like 2027, I'm expecting probably Naughty Dog launches Intergalactic. We might even get whatever Cory Barlog's been working on at Santa Monica. I think there will be some big games in 27, don't get me wrong, but I think we're timing out where like 2028 will be the time where all of these massive games probably converge right there. And it works because if you launch in 2028, you can then do cross-generational launch where you launch in 2028 on current gen, next gen consoles come out, you put out a free update or a $10 upgrade or whatever for the PS6 or whatever it's called, and then you get a whole wave of new players who are buying it day one on next gen consoles too, so you get extra cash. So that's my guess. Warhorse might be ready by then. I'm not so sure, but hopefully, if they have something by 2028, that'd be awesome. But I'm personally expecting that Warhorse is gone for a little while, which is okay if they're working on another masterpiece, you know. Bender, thank you for the 10.
Bender the Offender donated $10 through Super Chat. Preview for the final Dispatch episodes dropped.
Oh, really? Well, thank you for the 10. I'm not going to look it up because I want to be surprised. I want to be surprised because we've been playing it. I've been loving it, but I don't want any spoilers. So I'm going to be careful. Continuing on, and then I'll catch up on the other Super Chats and stuff. It's just $10 reads it out. So we got to respond to those immediately, but I'll continue on.
This weird character, and then we built him a bit into the story where he would unlock as you worked your way through and be a commentary on what you were doing. So he was meant to be a kind of manifestation of your, you know, shadow, your karma, the devil, somewhere, you know, just saw the world. And then we built out his backstory over time. And decide, you know, so in Red Dead 2, you could interact with him again or not really interact with him, but he was there and he was meant to be, you know, something I suppose any creative is scared of, an artist who's kind of sold his soul to the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And that slowly revealed itself.
There is a connection between the main character and is it like a Jungian shadow type of situation?
Well, it's sort of, because he knows what you're up to. The connection is, and what's never really made clear is, does he know this about everybody? Like, is he following you, or is he able, because of the pact he's made with evil forces, able to do this for everybody? And I don't think we necessarily ever clarify that. He's certainly able to do it for you.
I mean, so narrative-wise, there's techniques to reveal a kind of self-reflection, analysis of the main character's thoughts. I mean, that's why I brought up the therapist with Michael. That was a really powerful, interesting thing to do in the video game. Like, I don't think I've seen that. That's such a cool. I mean, there's a Sopranos element there with a therapist.
A little bit, yeah.
I really love an opportunity for a character to just self-reflect through that technique.
But it also changed depending what you'd done.
Yes.
So it was sort of slightly. It wasn't as interactive as it could be, but it was slightly interactive or slightly responsive to what you'd done. So I felt it was still valid video game content because it was living up to a point. And I just thought the character, Dr. Friedlander, was just funny because he was awful. So it was like LA, you're in therapy, it's very LA, but it's also very LA, he wants to write a book and betray you, which felt like a good twist. And he felt like a Grand Theft Auto therapist, but just like the idea of making the player in a game, and games are intrinsically kind of physical. And, you know, you walk, you punch things, you run around, you drive cars, you shoot people, whatever. There's these kind of physical fantasies. Trying to put them into a slightly more reflective or metaphysical state for a moment, I think can be really fun.
I think, to me, one of the most surprising things about Red Dead Redemption, about video games, that Red Dead Redemption showed is how much value for storytelling is insanely specific, intricate details in the story, but also visually. It just added to the feeling that the world is real. So I have to ask, what are some of your favorite insanely specific, intricate details in RDR? I'll give you some options. Internet's favorite is horse testicles shrinking in cold weather.
What a
those
shot.
guys did an amazing job on those.
Yeah. I mean, and there must have been a meeting, and there must have been engineers and graphics designers,
just artists, modelers. I don't think it was that hard.
Okay.
Enough of that pun.
Thank you for that. Arthur's hair and beard grow in real time. So gun maintenance matters. Firearms get dirty and perform worse over time. Animal carcasses decompose realistically.
Yeah, they feel like they do.
That's still extremely rare in video games.
Yeah.
That the temporal aspect.
Yes.
That permeates through time. You know, NPCs remembering you.
That's the best. I mean, that's the thing I love. It playing around with a lot of stuff in the new games around that. 'Cause I think it's super interesting.
It's really powerful,
to make them,
right?
really interesting. I think it's a really fun way of giving you kind of narrative content that is also systemic and procedural.
Yeah. Is it technically really difficult to do for the game to feel like it remembers you?
I think with modern tech it's not that hard, but there's a lot of stuff you need to track to make it interesting.
Yeah, to have a memory. So that's really powerful. The mud physics. So Arthur's boots get muddy and leave actual tracks. I mean, that's just incredible. Really, really incredible.
You know, we made a dusty game. Red Dead 1 is a super dusty game. The problem with Cowboys is that if you've tried to make a greatest hits of the Cowboy game and then you've got to make a sequel, you've got to come up with different geographies. So that's why the game starts in the snow. So we wanted a game that had snow and mud because those were things you hadn't really seen in Red Dead 1. And then the challenge is how do you make mud good in the game? And guys did an amazing.
I remember that first time where they showed the gameplay. Remember where Arthur gets into the fist fight? It's not in Strawberry. Or is it? I don't know. He gets in the fist fight in the bar. He gets thrown out the window. They tumble out the window, down the deck. Valentine, thank you. And he lands. Excuse me. He lands in the mud. And I remember that moment where we saw that. He rolls in the mud and it like sticks to his back. So he's dirty now. And he like gets wet. The other NPC gets mud on his boots and everything. And then you proceed to have like a fist fight. I remember that first reveal of just like, how in the hell did they do that? Like, especially at the time, that was insane. And now we see, you know, mud deformation is pretty widespread. A lot of games have that type of thing. But especially for the time, that was ridiculous, and they just like casually drop it like it's nothing.
Amazing job.
I mean, the snowstorm that starts the game, RDR2. I don't remember last time I've experienced anything like it, but you felt it. I don't know how the hell you do that. It's not just graphics; it's everything together. I suppose some of the dialogue is really important.
What's the acting? They feel cold.
Yeah, that's right.
And they feel desperate. That was that feeling of sort
Yes.
of exodus, like you're running away from something that gives the game sort of energy at the start.
I also appreciated that they were in a snowstorm and they had to yell at each other to be able to hear each other's dialogue. So all of the dialogue is like Arthur and Dutch yelling at each other. Arthur, we got to get over that hill. And it's like, yeah, of course you'd have to yell because it's a snowstorm and it's loud and like you're far apart and the snow absorbs the sound. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of games where like you're riding on horseback or you're driving in cars and the characters are talking at a normal volume because like they recorded it in a recording booth and the director of the dialogue didn't know what the scene would be playing out like when they were doing the recording. So they just had him record it like normal. And so it doesn't actually make sense. Yeah, it's like Spider-Man where his voice strains a bit while swinging or where his voice doesn't strain and he's like doing backflips and stuff. And it's like, yeah, well, I guess, Peter, it's just, this is how we have to be. And then Peter replies while also swinging, yeah, well, I talked to MJ the other day and it was whatever. It's like, I feel like you'd at least have I just told MJ that, you know, there'd be some reaction to it. But anyway, I'm not a Spider-Man, so I guess I can't speak on it.
It was at night. Oh, man, it was just
And there was a big group of
done.
them. The other first game you start off as a lone wolf. Suddenly you're in this big group. So it felt very different.
In Arthur's body, bullet wounds persist. So that temporal consistency, that's really important. And underweight Arthur looks gone, and overweight Arthur gets a gut.
Chubby Arthur.
Fuller face. Again.
Chubby Arthur is best Arthur. I don't care what anyone says. Look at that boy. That's my boy.
And those like decisions that you make reveal themselves in the game across time, and they're consistent. I don't know. I did not see many games do that. It must be difficult to do, but to give that level of care to the details in that way across time and for specific graphical representations of things is incredible.
Yeah.
Do you have favorites? Where you were first like, this is amazing?
I think all of it. I think the way to me, the thing that I would care about most was the way the whole thing sat together. You know, the fact that each of those, they all feel like they belong together with each other. You made this cohesive.
One of you guys described it. I forgive me, I don't remember who said it first. Terrorizing brought it up again, but one of you guys said it that he talks like a British Tarantino. And now that I read that in chat, I can't unsee it. It's also like Tarantino does this thing when he answers a question where he answers it, but he does like a little nod as he like drops the line off. It's like, it's the way that they work together. Like the little nod as he leans in and drops the sentence off at the end. And he does the exact same thing. And now that I've heard it and seen it, I can't unsee it. Again, just listen to like the way that they tie together.
Was the way the whole thing sat together. You know, the fact that each of those, they all feel like they belong together with each other. You made this cohesive, very, you know, quote unquote realistic for a video game experience, and all the details feel like they mesh.
Well, for me, everything about the horse. For a lot of people, testicle shrinking included. What's the process of deciding this? The internet seems to really care about. I mean, they love the game so much, so they want to know if anything was cut. And I'm sure stuff was cut because you have to choose.
Mm-hmm.
What's the process of deciding what to cut? What the cut scenes like? Is there any scenes that you had to let go of that you really miss or wish you could have done in either GTA or RDR?
Well, I think the games ended up the way they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, I think there was a bit at the start of RDR where he'd had a baby who just died in Red Dead 2, and we ended up cutting it, which was the right decision. It was too tough in some ways, but I think it gave him real, and he was not very sympathetic to his occasional girlfriend who'd had the baby. And so it made him very, very nasty at the start, which I thought would be interesting to play around with, because then it would make his redemptive arc even more interesting. Like, he was not a likable character at the start, and that was one. And we ended up making him slightly more like. He's still sort of tough and nasty, but he's slightly more likable early on. That was the right decision commercially. It's better that way. But I like that little bit. It spoke to me personally. There and just his inability to access his emotions, I thought was really strong, because then later in the game he's going to get very emotional. But there's also always little bits and pieces that get trimmed. You know, and don't, well, missions that just are not going to work technically. Usually it's like, this mission's not going to work technically. Oh God, we've got to cut it. Okay, how do we glue the story back together? And we got better over time at gluing the story across missing chunks. You get late in the game and it's just something, you know, some big challenging moment just is going to look rubbish. So you just get rid of it.
I think editing.
There's a lot of that too in games, like a lot more than you probably would realize, where stuff got cut, stuff got trimmed, and you hopefully don't notice, but there are times where, like, you can tell, I think this sequence was supposed to be way longer or way shorter or something. And I feel like there's I'm trying to remember what example it was. Was it Uncharted 4? I think it was Uncharted 4. There was a lot of stuff that got trimmed and cut, and so they ended up stretching other things across. Like, you know, at the end of Uncharted 4, where like those combat challenges just go on and on and on, and it's just waves and waves and waves of enemies, and it, like, the pacing kind of dies off. And I believe I read something about how there was originally like another sequence within the pirate capital, Libertalia, that was cut and trimmed, and so they kind of took this other section and stretched it across to fill it in. And I think that type of thing happens all the time. Like, there's got to be just so many examples of stuff that's cut, and then you rework this sequence to make it work better, and it just is what it is, and you hope players don't notice, and maybe they don't, but you just got to deal with it.
Editing film, and I imagine editing video games, editing down is an art form, but it's also just,
yeah, towards the end when you're escaping, like, you remember how it's just like, you know, combat arena after combat arena, you go through the tunnel, another combat arena, and it just goes on way too long. It feels weird and kind of out of place, so then, like, it stretches on too long. And I believe what it was, if I recall correctly, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but I believe what it was that there was another sequence narratively that took place, but then they had to cut it, and so things had to get stretched and moved to fill it in.
it feels like torture, because you're letting go of things you put so much love into.
Yeah, it could mean changes. You know, if you fall in love with something and everyone else goes, let's change it, that could be, of course, that would be upsetting in some ways. Otherwise, you didn't care about it. But, you know, if I was involved in the big creative thing and you go, okay, it's the right decision, I can probably live with that fine. I think sometimes for designers, when they're only designing 4 or 5 missions in the whole game and 2 of them get cut, that must be really, really hard.
Is there DLCs like for RDR or GTA that you wish you had the time when you were there to have created?
Of course. There's always things I wish I'd done. I always wish I'd done more.
What would you have added? This is a fun, like, nerding out.
The internet knows we made a DLC, single player DLC for GTA 5 that never came out. And we've also never really worked on another game. But I like the idea of it that was also.
Just to read it for you. It says Agent Trevor was a canceled story DLC for GTA 5. Would have featured Trevor Phillips working as an undercover federal agent. The concept was a chaotic James Bond style spy adventure. Rockstar scrapped the project to focus its resources on GTA Online. There were actually going to be a lot of story based DLC for GTA 5. All of them got abandoned because GTA Online took off so bad, like so intensely. They put all resources into that, and it ended up making billions upon billions of dollars. But the story DLCs never happened as a result.
Never really worked on another game, but I like the idea of it that was a GTA zombie game. That would have been funny. I think that could have been quite fun.
What was the GTA 5 DLC?
It was one when you played as Trevor, but he was a secret agent.
Oh.
It was cute. It was.
Oh.
It never quite came together and it was never finished. It was about half done when it got abandoned. But I think if that had come out, probably wouldn't have got to make Red Dead 2. So there's always compromises. But it was, I like making the stories. For me, I love the model of.
Honestly, he says if we had done that, we probably wouldn't have gotten to make Red Dead 2. I'm willing to accept this trade because it would have been interesting, but I'm glad we got Red Dead 2. I'll tell you what. And he goes on, and there's even more. He talks about DLCs for GTA, Red Dead Online, leaving Rockstar, what he's been doing, his favorite game of all time, discussing mortality and all sorts of stuff like that. I recommend you go listen to it because it's just a treasure trove. And again, historically, Rockstar's been very, very tight-lipped. They don't really talk about stuff publicly. Their designers don't talk about stuff publicly. There's multiple different types of creatives. Some like to go out there and be very public and very much in the spotlight. Todd likes to get up on stage and do the presentations. Kojima loves to get on stage and get the applause. But other designers like a Dan Houser, like Hidetaka Miyazaki, for example, they don't really like to do that. Like they're good at what they do, best in the world, but they don't need to be on stage, and they're good about it. And you know what? I respect it. But that's why something like this is all the more interesting, getting to hear how it works, because historically we just don't get to hear how it works. It's just mysterious and amorphous. We just have to kind of imagine how Rockstar works their magic. But actually getting to hear it and hear the stories is super, super cool. I absolutely love it. So really, really cool interview. I hope we hear more about that stuff in the future. But in the meantime, I'm just really glad we got Red Dead 2 at the end of the day. It's so good. Now I want to replay it. So there you go. Maybe I'll play a little bit later. Who knows? Okay. Well, let me catch up on these real quick. Silverhand, thank you for the 2. Did you see Todd said Elder Scrolls 6 is a long way off? Yes, we did talk about it earlier on the stream. Biggest year for gaming. We talked about that one. What's better, to be good or to overcome your evil nature with great effort? The latter, I think, is more noble. Just being good is probably good, but I think the other's more noble. Imagine if we got this writing in Bethesda games. They wouldn't be Bethesda, I'll tell you what. Toxic Positivity Batch graduated and got hired. Yeah, well, I wonder if it's like there was some big push to hire those people, or if they thought that because of the success of Marvel that like toxic positive writing was going to be the next big thing. I do think Marvel has something to do with it, because all of these games started having writing that was very reminiscent of Marvel movies. And I don't think it was a coincidence, because it all happened at the same time. But maybe it is a coincidence. But it does seem like Marvel writing started to spread through the whole industry right about the same time. Okay, caught up on that. Okay, booyah. Well, fam, I think I will call it there, because I've got to go take the doggy on a walk. I greatly appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. It's been a wonderful day of streaming. I'll be back on Wednesday with even more rockin' and rollin'. In the meantime, go watch the new video on Rue Valley. I'll have a video on the KCD 2 DLC number 3 out probably first thing tomorrow morning. So make sure you're watching the main channel, subscribed with notifications and stuff on over there, okay? Until next time, my friends, much, much love. I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.